about the upcoming home opener for the Braves. We're going to check in with some of our top stories, but I want to talk about something that just came into the newsroom within the last about hour or so, and it has to do with a missing persons case. So this is a big break out of Gwinnett County. Police have identified skeletal remains found last year in Lawrenceville as Timothy Williams. I was actually on scene when all of this unfolded back in February of 2025. They found a skull. The 57-year-old was reported missing in 2020. Lawrenceville police and the Gwinnett County Medical Examiner's Office worked with a DNA lab to make the positive ID. Investigators still don't know how Williams died, but you're looking at video from when this happened. You see the Lawrenceville Police Department CSI. You see the Gwinnett County Medical Examiners out there after they found this skull last year. So again, the news right now here at 1 o'clock, skeletal remains were found last year in Lawrenceville, have been identified as Timothy Williams. And let's talk about another case that is also making headlines, and has to do with a South Fulton police officer who has been arrested. He's on the other side of the law this afternoon. He's accused of sexually assaulting a woman while on duty. Well, he waived his scheduled first court appearance in Fulton County Magistrate Court today. Officer Michael Sheely Cochran's colleagues arrested him yesterday. Investigators say he was on duty responding to a domestic dispute call when he allegedly assaulted a 28-year-old woman. Obviously, no one likes to hear something like this, but he is in the Fulton County jail system right now. And again, he waived his first court appearance this morning. Another story we are tracking has to do with a shooting that unfortunately some of the bullets ended up hitting a school bus yesterday. That's in Fulton County. A man was shot and students on a school bus were injured by glass when someone opened fire in southwest Atlanta. A stray bullet pierced the bus's window with two kids inside. You're looking at that bus right there. Police say the man was hit and will be okay, but obviously a very scary afternoon yesterday for those students who were still on that bus. And we do know that it does not appear that the school bus was the intended target here. Another story, obviously we're following a lot of stories here in the Fox 5 newsroom. I want to get a check of the day's top headlines with Fox 5 managing editor Tanya Mendoza, assignment manager Tanya Mendoza. She's standing by with a look at what we're working on today. Hey, Tanya.
Hey, Tyler. Yes, we are working on several stories today. We have reporters out in multiple counties, but right now let's start off with something that happened in LaGrange. This morning we received a press release from the LaGrange Police Department saying that yesterday at around 8:45 p.m. They responded to a shooting where sadly 22-year-old Aquarius Gates was struck by gunfire and later died at the hospital. Now get this, Tyler. What they're saying was that a 12-year-old boy is in custody after police say he mishandled a gun, causing it to discharge. And our reporter, Angelique Proctor, is out in LaGrange. She just called us with an update saying that the 12-year-old has been charged with involuntary manslaughter. She's also talked to the mom of the victim, who did send us a few pictures. We'll have the pictures of the victim. But the mom was really upset, and she told Angelique that basically her son was at an apartment with other kids and they were playing with a gun, but she's upset because she said there were around 3 adults there. So she's just wondering about supervision, and she just wants answers to see what happened. But we'll have that story later today at 4, 5, and 6, and we'll hear from the victim's mother.
I mean, just incredibly shocking. A 12-year-old is the one who had the gun, allegedly, and was mishandling it. I mean, first question for me is why he would even have that, and parents should be keeping that away from kids, and that's what they tell people all the time.
Yeah, and that comes after yesterday where we had an accidental shooting involving a child as well. So it's really sad all around.
Yeah, incredibly tragic. Another story a lot of people are probably talking about has to do with those TSA wait times at Hartsfield-Jackson. I know once again, for the 10th straight day, we've had a reporter there. I think these are live pictures coming from Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, coming from from the network here at Fox. And you can just see that looks like the North Security checkpoint, and that line is long. What do we know, Tanya?
That's right. So our reporter, Tara Jabor, was there. She was reporting live in the noon show. And what she told me is that it's like a mixed bag right now. You don't know what yesterday the lines looked much better than this. And today they're pretty bad. Early this morning, they were out the door. Right now, she's saying they're like in the hallway, but they're still telling everybody, get to the airport 4 hours in advance. And then I think, Tyler, we have a story online which mentions that Delta made an announcement extending Atlanta travel waiver amid TSA delays. So if anybody or any of our viewers travel with Delta, that may be something that they want to look at. She says the line is moving now, so hopefully things get better throughout the day. One other thing, we have our photographer Eric Len heading to a location in Atlanta where we got a tip saying that Atlanta police officers were actually feeding TSA workers today. So we'll have that update later as well.
I mean, a lot of people are helping these TSA officers who are struggling right now. You have to imagine sometimes jobs like that aren't the highest paid. And when you're not getting that paycheck every 2 weeks like you expect, it can be really difficult for those people. And that's obviously very hard. So a lot of them are really hoping that the government can reopen and this partial government shutdown ends because we know this Friday they're going to miss that third paycheck. And that's going to obviously be more difficult for them. And I'm sure the call out rates just can only get higher until this is resolved.
Yes, absolutely. Very sad all around.
Yeah, and so let's talk about something else. So we know the FIFA World Cup is coming to town, and Atlanta is getting prepared. There was just a news conference held with Atlanta Police and the Cobb County Sheriff's Office where they're going to be using horses this year.
That's right. As you see in the video there, the both of the mounted patrol teams from Cobb County and Atlanta Police were doing a training, and they invited us out there. Our photographer, Jim Zorn, went out there. They're talking about how they're going to use the mounted patrol for World Cup. And one of the officers actually gave an interview about the advantages of mounted patrol in big crowds. So let's listen into that soundbite.
When I get on this horse, I am 10 feet tall. So imagine a lifeguard in his chair sitting above a pool. He's able to see everything. When Drifter and I are in a crowd of people, or we're going into a really congested area, parking lots, we can see over the cars, we can see over everybody's head. It gives us a great vantage point to identify problems and respond to them. A great example of that is the Peachtree Road Race. Mounted Patrol typically plays Overwatch in the meadow at the end of the race. We able to see if someone's having a medical issue or is lost or it needs something, they can always find us. So when you think World Cup and you think crowds, people, especially tourists and visitors, they see us as this big, bold, beautiful presence. And really our main goal is to simply be ambassadors of the city and be able to help people get them where they need to go, and hopefully that's it. Hopefully that's it. That's our goal.
Hey, well, there you go. All the information you need to know about the mounted patrol getting ready for the World Cup. Atlanta hosts 8 matches starting June 15th, 2026 through a semifinal on July 15th. So we're all excited about that, and all tournament action will be broadcast on Fox 5 and Fox Local.
Yeah,
Tyler?
I know specifically for the mounted patrol, I've been hearing from APD for the last 8 months or so that they have been touting the fact that their mounted patrol is going to be huge during those World Cup matches because they had sent some APD officers overseas to actually kind of take in the football atmosphere, the soccer atmosphere, and they found that really a lot of police departments in other countries utilize their mounted patrol to be able to have crowd control and be able to get a good look at the crowd because, as he mentioned, you're 10 feet up higher than what you'd be. I'm 6 foot, so you're going to get a good look above the crowd and get that insight of what exactly is happening there. So they've been touting that, they've been practicing, and so it's nice to get that look today.
Yeah, absolutely. And Tyler, I'm from New Orleans, and I grew up with Mardi Gras, and I covered Mardi Gras when I worked in New Orleans, and you did in Mobile. So the one thing that was consistent was the mounted patrol for the big crowds, for Mardi Gras, Super Bowls, other big events that they had there. Their mounted patrol is 100 years old, and it's been working fine. So hopefully we have great results during the FIFA World Cup here in Atlanta with their mounted patrol.
You know what the nice thing about the mounted patrol is? Those kids are also going to be able to maybe pet the horses, and a nice little activity for kids who see them, because they're going to be working, but they're also going to maybe be able to interact with them, the fans who are coming. Tanya Mendoza, we're going to look at all, or go ahead.
We should take a field trip and go at the newsroom in general. We should all go out there and get to pet the horses.
That would be nice. Tanya Mendoza, thank you so much for a look at the day's top stories that we are working on here in the Fox 5 newsroom. Well, we want to switch gears a little bit and talk about something else that I think a lot of people might be interested in, and it has to do with a major step forward in sports performance, and it's happening right here in Metro Atlanta. A new Legacy Sports Complex is opening up in Milton, and it's debuting cutting-edge 3D body scanning technology. So, of course, we had to send out our Eli Jordan to give us a look. Eli, did you get to scan your body yourself?
I haven't scanned my body yet, but I know I have good, bad posture. But they're putting it all together right behind me. The body loop is what it's called, and it's a really cool thing. They'll be able to scan you, make sure you're holding your posture right, make sure you got the right form and all that. Helps prevent injuries too, especially when you're recovering. But this is a new Legacy Sports Complex up in Milton, and it's really cool because what makes it cool is that there's 5 Legacy Sports Complexes in the area, and they're all owned by former and active professional football and baseball players. And I have the owner of this one here, the brand new one. They're having a little open house today, and Mark Brown of the Jets, linebacker of the Jets, joins me. Hey, Mark, how's it going?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. And you're also an Auburn player back in '98 to what, 03?
03, yep, War Eagle.
Roll Tide, but you had a number back then. It was rough for Bama back then, but War Eagle, I hear you. So tell me, why did you want to open up a Legacy Sports?
Well, it started off because I have twin boys that are 10 years old, heavily involved in sports, and we always do training outside, extra training, so I wanted to build a space that the community could take a part of and get access to high-level, trainers and professional athletes.
And so we got, this is, a unique type of sports complex, because you're telling me this is for young athletes who are serious about their sport. Mm-hmm. With the NIL and everything, we have high school athletes that are looking at some decent money if they come out, if they're any good, and this is where they can tweak their skills, right?
Absolutely. This is what it was built for. You got kids that are coming out today, and they got a lot of older kids that they're competing against. The NIL has changed the landscape of sports, so we got kids coming here prepared to go to the next level and take their sports very seriously.
And also, too, you got this body scanner here, which is one of a kind, first time in North America, and they're getting it all hooked up, and it's taking a little tour around to the Legacy Sports here, and people can use this, right?
They can actually use this, find spots that are bothering them. This crew flew out from Germany all the way here to be for our open house tomorrow at 5 to 7, so come take a look at it. It looks like a time machine to me.
Yeah, it does look like some sort of portal walk through, but I guess you just stayed in there and it'll just check your form, right?
It checks your form, checks problem areas you might have, scan your body.
And so tell me about all the different sports you guys, can cater to here.
So we got basketball going on right now, ran by former NBA legend Chuck Person, his basketball academy, sponsored by Shaq and Reebok. We have all kinds of sports. We're walking across the football, lacrosse, soccer turf field. Kids use cleats on this, high level speed and agility, cutting and turning. But any kind of sport you can think of, we're going to be doing it.
And this isn't just a normal, like a 9 to 5 workout place. You guys cater to the early hours that athletes have to, get up and work out before they go to work or go to school or whatever.
Absolutely. They work out early in the morning. Sometimes I'll turn on my security cameras and see the basketball team here practicing at 11:30 at night. So it's a high-level facility. But we also have access for younger kids as well, because we want to get them, start them young at a youth age and develop them in the right way.
And, Legacy Complex is owned by former athletes and active athletes. Mm-hmm. That kind of brings a little bit of a credibility to you guys. You guys knows what it takes, right?
Absolutely. We got Mohamed Sanu, former Atlanta Falcon, Dustin, who was the founder, myself. You already talked to Johnny Venters, former Braves player. So I basically want to give kids access to high-level training, people that know what they're talking about, and parents are going to get what they're paying for. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it does, it does cost a lot. But then again, those, you could have return costs, getting really good.
Yeah.
With the NIL going on in this new day and age of college sports.
Absolutely. Everybody's not going to be a professional athlete. The main goal here is to get you to be your best. You know what I mean? If you run a 4.3, let's see if we can get you to run a 4.2 and maximize your potential is the main goal here.
Awesome. Well, Mark Brown, owner of the new Legacy Sports here in Milton, where you got professional owners giving you professional level training here at the Legacy Sports. And this is the 5th one opening up, and this is a Georgia-born company. It's all local, nowhere else, and they're expanding. And this this is, has some pride in that. It's a Georgia born company, and some real training out here, as you can see with the basketball. And that's what's going on out here, Tyler. Back to you.
Eli, those players are looking good out there. Does it have that new gym smell?
Oh yeah, it's got a brand new car smell. Actually, yeah, it's got a brand new car smell, and it's going for a spin right now. And I'd say it's got the top down and ready to show off and get some people looking at it and checking it out.
Well, Eli, thank you so much for a look inside. I know you'll be giving us that look throughout the afternoon. I do appreciate it. As we come back in here, let's talk about the weather. If they were outside, it would be starting to feel like late spring for a lot of folks. It's getting so warm out there.
Yeah, it's nice to kind of have a warm up because we're kind of cool for a couple days. Temperatures yesterday didn't come out the 60s, but look at where we are at this moment.
Yeah.
74 degrees in Atlanta. Some really warm air out to the west. We're still in the AM hours. Phoenix, Arizona. You know that place pretty well.
Yes.
85 degrees there, 81 in Lubbock, Texas. That extreme heat wave that they're dealing with out to the west is not going to advance farther to the east. Nonetheless, we're going to warm up appreciably, especially in contrast to yesterday. We'll look for a high of 80 degrees today. Temperatures back out west are in the 90s, closing in on the 100-degree mark. But once again, let's keep all of that out there, and let's keep all of this thunderstorm energy up here. Whereas here, well, it's across the Ohio Valley. There's a level 3 out of 5 risk for severe storms from Illinois stretching into Ohio and, of course, Indiana in between there. Those storms will start rearing up as the sun goes down. So if you do have interest to take you up there, perhaps traveling, any friends, family members, work things going on up there, it's going to be kind of quite the night. Storms will roll from Chicago to Cleveland, moving southward into Indianapolis, St. Louis, all the way out to Pittsburgh into the I-95 corridor. As that line moves farther to the south, it just kind of runs out of steam. A couple showers could possibly pop tomorrow night going into Saturday morning. But other than that, we are going to maintain our dry streak as high pressure comes home for the weekend. So here is what things look like right now, what they feel like here at home. 70s abound. We'll turn those 70s into 80s in short order. You can see here between 3 and 7 o'clock is when we'll squeeze in those 80+ degree temperatures. We'll look at 80 here in town, 81 from Noonan to LaGrange, Covington, Eaton, nice. 70s probably for Gainesville and Blairsville, but considering where we have been at points in time this week, this is a pretty solid warm-up. Tonight we'll drop down to either side of 60 degrees, and then we will push the gas on the mercury for Friday. The current record for Friday stands at 86 degrees. That's our forecast as well. So we could tie a record set back in 1994 or break it if temperatures break beyond the 86 degree mark. Cool down for the weekend. Winds are going to be quite breezy for Saturday and Sunday. So if you're going out to Truist Park, you may want something to keep your arms warm on Saturday, especially. But Sunday, it looks a bit warmer. But I'm thinking the best day to be out there is Friday.
And that's the home opener for the Braves. So what's it going to look like when we have that first pitch at 7:15 tomorrow night in Cobb County?
Ta-da! I present to you the Braves forecast.
It's as if we prepared for this, and I warned you I was going to ask you that.
We don't do any preparation on TV. What do you mean? Prepare? 85 degrees at the 5 o'clock hour. Many people will be taking over the battery. 7 o'clock, first pitch at 7:15, 82 degrees, and we'll hang out in the 70s for the majority of the game. By the time the final inning comes around, ninth inning, you can see it there. 68 degrees, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, better than the 82 though, because is it going to feel humid or is it just going to be?
No humid. No humidity. Yeah,
so 82 is not even that bad.
Exactly. Yeah, it's going to be great.
Perfect day for everyone to go enjoy the home opener at Truist Park.
I'll see you there if you come.
Oh, same with me.
All right.
We're going out there tomorrow to work. Right?
Work.
Jonathan, thanks so much for joining us here at 1 o'clock. We still have a lot more ahead here on Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock. We're going to be checking in on what's happening with the Braves. That's going to be coming up in just about 15 to 20 minutes. Stay with us. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock. We're so glad you're sticking with us. We are talking about the ultimate pivot today. This weekend, Young Gifted Techie is hosting a free mentorship event in Atlanta for student athletes. They're bringing in former NFL pros who've moved from the gridiron into tech, finance, and media to show the next generation that there is a massive playbook for success. See what I did there? Playbook for success beyond professional sports. Let's welcome in Kendra Choice, the founder of Young Gifted Techie. Thanks for being here, Kendra. Can you tell us a little bit about the event this weekend?
Absolutely. I am so happy to be here. What you're going to experience this weekend is a movement with Young Gifted Techie. Young Gifted Techie is a community, is a movement that empowers youth with confidence, community, coding, and career exposure. This weekend, we are stepping into Power Shift because we want to make sure athletes across Atlanta and Metro Atlanta understand after you are finished playing sports, then what happens next? Let's figure out how to shift our power. We are bringing Tashard Choice, the current running back, Detroit Lions coach, running back coach for Detroit Lions. We're bringing him out. We're bringing out Deion Butler, who's a former Seattle Seahawks. We're bringing out Brandon Boykin, who is now ABC SEC analyst. And we're also bringing out Walter Stiff, who works in finance for Morgan Stanley. What we're going to do is take them through Power Shift. It's an amazing acronym. We are going to talk about their purpose, their opportunity, their work ethic, their exposure, their relationship building. We're going to talk about the shift, which is your skills, your habits, identity, who you are, financial literacy, and ultimately that transition. Big picture, we are doing amazing things. We're going to do breakout sessions. They're going to learn about all the different roles and responsibilities in the NFL. We are bringing the community together so that youth know there are 8 million high school athletes today. And with that, only 6% of them go play in college and only 2% of them go professional. So there are 98% of youth today that will need a career plan beyond playing a sport as a professional athlete. And we're going to make sure that they understand how to power shift.
Have to ask, why is it important for these student athletes to start thinking about this now, considering, as you said, 11% only make it to the pros?
Well, it's important because we need youth to understand that every single skill that they learn playing sports, that's that discipline, the collaboration, the focus, the competitiveness, those skills are what make entrepreneurs successful. Those skills are what corporate America needs today. And so we want them to understand that the game ultimately will end one day for you. But when it does, your power is going to shift and you're still going to go, glow, and ultimately rise to become the person that you set out to be.
How many people do you have signed up for this weekend? And are they going to get one-on-one time with these former pro athletes to be able to see the stuff beyond the game?
Yes, right now we have a little bit over 100 folks signed up. We have dedicated breakout sessions where we're grouping all of these different athletes in separate groups so that they can get group time with these professional athletes. And we hear there's other special guests that are going to come show up and empower and connect with youth as well.
Kendra, to use a sports little phrase here, what is one big win for you, and what the students will walk away with?
One big win will be a youth will walk out of our event on Sunday and say, I understand how to power shift. Mm-hmm. I know that the discipline, the focus, the collaboration, the competitiveness, the confidence that I have, I know how to take that and go win beyond the field.
Kendra, thank you so much for joining us. We are going to put this segment on our website, fox5atlanta.com, but I appreciate you joining us today, and hopefully the event is a success and these student athletes are able to get something important out of it. I do appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye.
Bye. And as we come back into our studio here, we still have a lot more ahead here on Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock. We are going to be talking Braves. I kind of teased this a little bit earlier. Braves baseball is back tomorrow at Truist Park. We'll have all the details next. Welcome back to Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock on this Thursday. We are so glad you're here. If you're looking at the bottom of your screen, you can see it says Braves baseball is back starting tomorrow. It was a long off season. People are hoping for a big season ahead for the Atlanta Braves. I know my boss, Cal Calloway, who is just on the other side of this camera, is super excited for the season ahead. The 2026 MLB season got underway last night in San Francisco. The New York Yankees took on the San Francisco Giants, and Braves country is preparing for the first game right here in Truist Park. You're looking live at the park in Cobb County, and so I'm sure all the employees there right now are busy making sure tomorrow's game goes off without a hitch so fans can have a lot of fun. This week, the Atlanta Braves gave us a preview of the new features and experiences planned for the upcoming season, and obviously team officials say fans can expect new spaces around the ballpark designed to enhance how they watch the game, along with upgraded experiences aimed at making visits more than just baseball, because kids are going to be there and they may not always care about what's happening on the field, so they want to make sure everyone can have a good time, whether you love baseball or you don't. And so the Braves are also bringing back popular theme nights. Think 80s night, Star Wars night, along with promotional giveaways such as specialty jerseys and bobbleheads. Ticket deals are starting as low as $10. Will be available on select games, and the season is especially significant as the team celebrates its 60th anniversary in Atlanta. Officials say they are focused not only on competing for a championship, the World Series, but also on creating a memorable experience for fans throughout the ballpark and the Battery. After missing the postseason last year, the Braves are hoping for a deeper run at the postseason this year, and so let's take a listen. We heard from the president and CEO of the Braves earlier in the week, where they talked about what people can expect. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
I want to delve into this, but let's start with this. Tell me about this, the formula. How do you compile this data? What are the parameters that you set up to compile?
Sure. So we just look at scoreboard.
So we did not get that cut, but what we know is Derek Schiller, he's the president and CEO. He was talking about just how big of a year this is going to be. The 60th anniversary season in Atlanta, the longest running franchise in baseball. This is obviously going to be a very big year. They want to celebrate that history in the Atlanta area. And let's take a listen to what he had to say. I think we have it now.
We are going to be celebrating the 60th anniversary of the Braves coming to Atlanta. You may all recall, some of you might have been there, I don't know, but it was 1966, April 12th, when the Braves played their very first game here in Atlanta. Joe Torre was there, amongst others, hit 2 home runs. We won the game, by the way, anybody, versus the Mets. Okay, that's important. And we're excited that we're going to be able to celebrate those 60 years and what the Braves have meant to Atlanta, and welcome all fans throughout Braves country on Friday night. We have our very first home game on Friday night, and we play the Kansas City Royals. We are excited to host them. We'll be doing a bunch of pregame activities to celebrate that 60th anniversary, as well as the pageantry of opening day, including a flyover and many other things. So excited to have our fans with us and welcome in the 2026 Braves season. Well, every year is a big year in the world of the Braves, and obviously this year we're excited to get the 26th season off. Our goal each and every year is to win the World Series, so we're very focused on that, trying to make sure that we're in every position to do that. From a fan perspective, we also try to make sure that the entertainment experience is really spectacular throughout the ballpark. So we do a lot of things to try to improve upon that experience, both in the ballpark as well as the Battery. And this year we have also a number of other special events that are going on during the course of the year. Some here at the ballpark and some, in other places. As an example, we're playing in the Little League game in Williamsport, so that'll be a fun addition to this year. And let's not forget that Andrew Jones Cooperstown Hall of Fame induction is happening this year. So we'll be doing a lot of celebrating of those things, both here in the ballpark as well as throughout Braves country.
and one of the people streaming along with us on a lot of sports action happening here in Atlanta and our area. So it's going to be a great one. And again, lots of exciting things happening. The Atlanta Braves home opener is big for Braves country. And of course, it's going to be big for us here at Fox 5 Atlanta, Fox Local, and all of our platforms. We have a fantastic team and a fantastic plan to make sure we can take you to the Battery in Truist Park tomorrow. Former Brave himself, Ron Gant, is going to be there along with Natalie McCann. We're also going to have Paul Milliken giving you the inside look on Good Day Atlanta throughout the morning. And then, of course, I will be there in the afternoon along with my good friend Jonathan Stacy, as we talked about a few minutes ago. We're going to be giving you the weather forecast. I'll be giving you how the fans are reacting. We have all of that coming up tomorrow right here on Fox 5, Fox Local, and all of our platforms. And I really hope you join us for that. It's going to be a fun day. I actually get to put my Braves jersey on and be able to give you a look at the Battery in Truist Park. Well, let's talk about something else. And it's it's probably one of my favorite parts of this show is we get to talk about what is trending online, people who are watching, what they're clicking on. Let's bring in Fox 5 digital journalist Sam Daniel. He is standing by at our digital desk with a look at what people are clicking on our website. Hey, Sam.
Hey, Tyler, I first want to get it straight, though. You say this is one of your favorite parts, but you won't take me to Truist Park with you tomorrow? You're going to take Jonathan Stacy instead?
There's only room for 2 people in the car.
Ouch. Okay, I see where I stand. Well, speaking of cars, our first story that's really trending right now affects every single person in North Georgia and Metro Atlanta because it has to do with rising transportation costs. Now, USPS says those rising transportation costs need to be passed on to the consumer. They submitted yesterday a request to increase temporarily prices on USPS products by 8%. So this includes some popular things like priority mail that the consumers will really see as they are shipping back. Now, before this can get approved, it has to go through the Postal Regulatory Commission because the post office, as many of you know, used to be a federal office. It's now no longer technically a federal office, but there's still some federal oversight. So if the commission approves it, this 8% hike will run from April 26th until January 17th of next year. They, in a release, said this temporary price adjustment will provide needed flexibility for the Postal Service by helping ensure that the actual cost of doing business are covered as required by Congress. Because like I said, the Postal Service still has some federal oversight. So this has kind of been an ongoing battle. They're saying now that because of the war in Iran, the increase in price for gas, there's just lots of things that they're having to go for. And already Postmaster General David Steiner has been warning Congress that it's very likely that the Postal Service could possibly go bankrupt in a year if Congress doesn't step in, just because the pure amount of mail that they're getting has really decreased over the past few years.
Obviously, I think even though I don't know if a lot of people still use the Postal Service to ship letters, that's not something a lot of people do anymore. It's an email.
Yeah.
But for the people who may want to send that letter, is that forever stamp still going to be good to use with this price hike?
Yes. Yes, the forever stamp, just like any rate hike, will always be good, and it's good at whatever price it says it's at.
Whatever you bought it at. Okay, that's good to hear, because I have those stamps on my fridge. The 1 or 2 times a year I actually need to use it. I just want to be able to put it on.
Yeah.
So let's talk about something else, and this one is unfortunately becoming a big topic that we are hearing especially after the LaGuardia incident, the airport there, air traffic control issues over the last year or so, probably even longer than that, especially with the short staffing. There's a new report out.
Yes, so the FAA has released a report that flags airports with what they call collision hotspots. So in all, there are 150 airports on this collision hotspot list. 5 of them are here in Georgia. So the 5 in Georgia are Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, Augusta Regional, Savannah Hilton Head International, and then Columbus Airport. Those are the ones that actual passenger, or well, I don't want to say passenger, the ones that like an ordinary person can fly into. There's also DeKalb Peachtree Airport, and that's only for private aviation. It is also on that list, though. And so most of the issues that are related to these airports, they raise concerns about taxiways, saying that sometimes planes have been reported taxiing along the wrong taxiways, or that there's a super short distance between parallel runways. And it talks about like pilots having to navigate with lots of traffic and make sure they know everything right, because one little thing could go wrong. And like you said, this follows the crash in New York. 2 pilots were killed when an Air Canada commuter jet crashed with a fire engine. Those pilots died, 40 people were hospitalized. But one thing that stood out to me as I was kind of looking at this story, the head of the NTSB after that has said, when they investigate things like this that go wrong, it's never just one thing, one mistake that happens, one error. It's always multiple that add up that cause this catastrophic incident to happen. So it's a flag, but they just say it's for precaution, and it lets pilots kind of know, like, hey, these are tricky airports to fly in and out of.
Well, and it's the interesting part here, you brought up the LaGuardia incident where that commuter jet hit the fire engine, and according to the NTSB, that fire engine didn't have a transponder on it to notify air traffic control where they were on the tarmac or on one of the taxiways. The interesting thing here is I actually did reach out yesterday to Atlanta Fire Rescue and to the airport to ask if the fire engines here in Atlanta have that. I still haven't gotten a response, but that's something that would prevent, hopefully, collisions. And obviously, if this is a place that they're flagging to tell pilots to be careful, that would be nice if all of the vehicles out on the runway and the taxiways had that.
Exactly. And it makes sense, too. I mean, we are the world's busiest airport when it comes to the number of passengers. So obviously, there are lots of planes taking off, landing. So there are always things happening at Hartsfield. So that makes sense that it was flagged as one of the hot spots, because just percentage-wise with the number of flights coming up, it's obviously more likely.
And just quickly, I know we have one more story, and this has to do, if you know the name, Pinky Cole, slutty vegan. What's going on with her?
So actually, we have some breaking news right now with this, you know? I've always wanted to say that. So we just found out, my coworker, Joyce Lupiani, who you see sometimes, got an update. The Slutty Vegan founder, Pinky Cole, had her house in Loganville, that was a rental property, seized as a part of her bankruptcy filing. Well, just now we got the order from a federal court. She is getting that house back. The federal judge said in their ruling that the house being taken away actually harmed Pinky Cole's finances, and it kept her from being able to repay her debt, so they're giving it back to her. Now, they also said that Guardian, the financial company who seized the house, didn't even show up for court, so that was an interesting thing, because Guardian seized this house after Pinky Cole declared bankruptcy earlier in the year. Records show that she has about a $1.2 million to the U.S. Small Business Administration and roughly $192,000 to the Georgia Department of Revenue. So she filed this emergency hearing after the house was seized to say, hey, I owe all this money back. How am I supposed to pay it back if I can't make a living? She also said she has somebody set to start renting the house out on April 1st, and that would help her generate income. The federal judge sided with her and has now issued an emergency order saying that Pinky Cole must now get her house back and be able to rent it out starting April 1st.
Well, thank you for that breaking news update. I am so glad you were able to live out that dream right here on Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock to say breaking news. I know you're going to update that web story, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be clicking on that because there's a lot of interest in that story. I was looking at the numbers earlier. A lot of people obviously care about Pinky Cole, especially with the news surrounding her. Sam Daniel, thank you so much for the update today, and we appreciate you joining us. As we continue on here for Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock, the world's largest immersive space experience is set to open its doors tomorrow, Friday. And of course, we had to send our Paul Milliken to Pullman Yards to check out this out-of-the-world exhibit.
Yeah, hanging out at Pullman Yards today, but my head is way up in space. Actually, it usually is, but today it especially is because we're checking out Space Explorers The Infinite. This is a one-of-a-kind immersive experience that takes you to the International Space Station, partially through the use of virtual reality. And this is not virtual reality that was designed on a computer. It is actual footage that was taken in and around the International Space Station using cameras like this. And somebody who saw those cameras in action in real time at the International Space Station is Commander Shane Kimbrough. What an honor to see you. Great to see you here.
Thanks. It's great to be here.
Yeah, back in Atlanta. So you are a Georgia guy through and through. Talk a little bit about your experience here. You went to like school here, college here, all that stuff, right?
I did. From about 5th grade on, I was in Atlanta, so call it home. Got the chance to come back for graduate school at Georgia Tech as well.
Yeah, we're claiming you as a Georgian for sure. And so then tell me a little bit about your career. You were in the U.S. Army, a retired colonel in the U.S. Army, and then ended up working for NASA. What were some of the highlights of your space career?
Very blessed to be at NASA for about 20 years, but most of that time was still active duty Army, so it was a kind of a unique thing.
Yeah.
Got to fly on Space Shuttle, I got to fly with the Russians, and I got to fly most recently with SpaceX.
Yeah, you did. Well, let's go back to the Space Shuttle missions for a minute here. I mean, you ended up at the International Space Station, of course. How much time did you actually spend on the ISS?
Wow, so I've had 388 days total in space, and so, minus a few of those days, that was on the International Space Station.
Yeah, incredible. And so, look, I mean, we could talk for days about this, but when you think back to your life there, I asked you, was there a lot of downtime? And you said, no, you guys are working hard, long days up there, right?
Absolutely. Generally a 12-hour workday, 7:30 to 7:30, and we have the mission control teams from all around the world that are supporting us through that. And so we have a huge team. It's not just the crew on board that are making things happen. It's really the international cooperation and the team that makes it work.
Yeah, and then I think that's what this exhibit does so well, is it allows people to see some of the work that you all are doing up there. Is that kind of your hope for the takeaway, that people will get a better appreciation for what's happening up there?
For sure. I mean, of course, they're going to just have the awe of looking out in space and the views that we had. Those are great. But hopefully it'll give them also a chance, like you're talking about, of just seeing what it's like day to day up there, kind of what we do and how we operate. And with no up or down up there, you'll see people upside down, and it's actually completely normal.
It is very wild. I saw some guy putting his shoes and socks on a minute ago. It was very interesting. So these cameras were at use during part of your time on the International Space Station. What were these filming when you were there?
Yeah, so we got a chance to pull these out, unpack them, and actually get them ready to go outside for a spacewalk.
Wow.
Which was pretty unique, right?
Yeah.
First time that had ever been done. And so we got them, we sent them out there, and they got to film and be with our astronauts outside during a spacewalk.
And did you have an understanding then of how this footage was going to be used?
We'd, a few years prior to us, these were used for the inside portion of this experience here. And so we had a little bit of insight on that.
Yeah.
We never knew how cool it would really be to be outside on a spacewalk.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, well, let's talk about now that people are able to do this experience. You've walked through it a couple of times when it was in Houston. How do you feel like it came together? Do you feel like it accurately gives us a picture of life on the ISS?
100%, and only because I took my family members who kind of lived it through a different way and different lens. And then once they got to do this, it really kind of almost completed the picture for them of what, oh, this is what it was like when he was telling me he was doing this or that.
Yes.
And so, it's an incredible experience just to let everybody kind of share in this crazy experience that I got to do for real.
Yeah, and I guess my last question is, and again, we could talk for days about this, so sorry to make you do it in 30 seconds of television, but what did you take away from being in space? I mean, how do you feel like the experience of being an astronaut and being in space has changed you or the way you view the world?
Well, it's an international crew up there, as you're probably aware. The crews I had were Russian, they were French, Japanese, Americans, and gosh, we all work together. It's amazing. And it's amazing when you work together what you can accomplish, right? I mean, the things that we got to do and the experiments and research projects we got to be a part of, amazing. And it's all for everybody here on Earth. It's not for us, it's not for NASA, it's not for Russia, it's for all mankind and humankind. So it's pretty cool to be part of something that big and that grand.
Yeah. Well, welcome home. Keep coming back as often as possible.
Thank you.
And maybe my last and most important question, scale of 1 to 10, how accurate is Star Trek?
Oh, wow. I'm not a Star Trek fan, and so I'm going to have to defer that question.
All right. Oh, that was the political answer right there. You know what? We still love Star Trek. Great to see you. And again, great to be here for a first look at Space Explorers The Infinite, which is open Friday at Pullman Yards.
something to do this weekend. I think that's going to be a great type of activity to take people and kids to be able to experience this. Paul, thank you so much for that look. And for more Good Day Atlanta segments, you can head to our website, fox5atlanta.com. Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock continues after this. And happy Thursday afternoon. Thanks so much for sticking with us for Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock. Let's talk about something that a lot of people are doing. It's a new trend. Forget happy hour. Admin nights is what they're called, is a new social trend. It's where friends get together to tackle life's boring to-do lists. But while you're canceling subscriptions and paying bills, are you forgetting about your credit? So let's talk about this. We're joined by Dr. Brittany Green from Self. She's here to tell us about how you can turn everyday bills into a better credit score. Brittany, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
And so we're seeing these people do these admin nights. Why is something like that taking off?
I think it's taking off because a lot of things within the admin space tend to get put off, whether it's due to oversight or just overwhelmed by life in general. So getting a chance to, tackle those admin nights, but with your family and friends, it tends to make it less overwhelming. And as you mentioned earlier, I think something super important to not leave out is our credit. So I think it taking off because of that. Those busy and crazy times is giving people a breath of fresh air, excuse me.
These subscriptions or these different things, I mean, how is that going to be beneficial for them, and how can they think about their credit in the long run with that?
Yeah, so I think that's a really good question. When it comes to getting rid of some of those subscriptions, some people are using their credit cards for subscriptions, and if you're forgetting about it, that's a constant bill that's on your report that's on your credit card statement every single month. And if you're trying to work on your goals and you're trying to work on something that you want to do for yourself in the future, having those things that you may have forgotten about constantly racking up debt, that can be a barrier towards you getting where you want to go. So having that, taking those subscriptions off of their credit report or off of their credit cards and focusing on, having a healthy utilization is going to be super important.
Marie Kondoing, I think is the phrase. Most of us look at the total owed, but there's like a 30% number that is pretty vital.
Yes. Sorry, I didn't hear you. The first part of your question.
Yeah, you talked about the Marie Kondoing, I think is the phrase. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. And so what is that?
So with the Marie Kondo, it's when you are using your, Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Are we having technical difficulties?
Sorry. It looks like it said poor connection. Apologize about that. So it's when you're using your finances to, what in the world?
Oh. Looks like we're having some technical difficulties on our end with that. That was Dr. Brittany Green from Self talking about just how you can kind of use these things called admin nights and you're canceling and help your credit score. And we'll put details for that on the stream on our comments here since we're having some technical difficulties with that. But I want to talk about something else that is also of interest today. Women's Entrepreneur Event, and it's happening in Atlanta's Old Fourth Ward neighborhood, bringing together local entrepreneurs to learn, connect, and grow with a focus on women's business growth during Women's History Month here in March. Let's go to our Chris Rosenthal, who's standing by live. Hey, Chris, what can you tell us?
Hey, good afternoon there, Tyler. So I am here in the Old Fourth Ward for that event. Actually, these women, about 40 or so women business owners. I'll just see if I can peek the camera in here really quickly and take a look. They're actually meeting now. But I'll step out here just so not to disturb them, but they are meeting now. The goal of this is part of an organization called Brain Trust, started by a woman named Sherry Deutschman, and the goal is to really empower these women and get them to a point where their businesses are worth $1 million in revenue. Only about 2% of women-owned businesses reach that point, and so that's the goal here, to meet with them and empower them for that. And I spoke with Sherry Deutschman, who's part of who started this organization, just all about it and background and what it's about. And if we have that sound, let's take a listen.
Brain Trust is a peer organization for women founders, small business owners, to help them grow and scale. Our goal is to see more women finding financial independence, wealth even, and the influence that comes from that.
And why is that so important here, especially with Women's Month this month?
Well, it's really born out of my own story of being a single mom. I was a toilet scrubber. I had a route where I cleaned the gas station bathrooms. I have only a high school education, but I was able to start a company in my basement, a company that I grew to $40 million a year, debt-free, and sold that company, but along the way got a ton of influence, being able to address Congress on the business case for raising the minimum wage, being featured in the New York Times, and then being honored by President Obama as a White House champion of change. And all of that really happened because I had a successful business that gave me a platform. And I want more women to experience that and more women to have power in this world.
Are you sort of passing it on, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm trying to do.
And tell me about today, and tell me about what do you guys have going on here?
Well, today we have a lowdown. A lowdown is when we give women the down low or the lowdown on what Brain Trust is, how it operates, and how we help women grow and scale. We've been in Nashville for a couple of years, and we have a couple of hundred members there. We're live in Charlotte, but so many women in Atlanta reached out to us and said, please bring this program to Atlanta. So here we are. So women will walk away knowing they're not lonely anymore, that there'll be hundreds of other women who are growing businesses. And there's this factor with entrepreneurship where you don't know what you don't know, and what you don't know can kick your butt. Mm-hmm. And so with all of the other women and all the brain trust of these other women, suddenly someone in the room knows what you need to know and will share it with you.
And tell me about the kind of businesses that you're seeing.
Oh my goodness, they're every kind of business. We have women who are building healthcare tech platforms, women who are actually physicians, lawyers, women who have hair salons, nail salons, restaurateurs, service providers. We have several lawyers who are members. So it's any woman who owns a business.
And why is this so important?
Because I believe that the economic effect of women having an equal opportunity to build wealth and influence through their businesses I think if we had the same opportunities as men did, it would be not a trickle effect. It would be a tsunami to an economic impact to this city and to every city where we reside.
Yeah, and again, the goal here is to get these women-owned businesses up to about $1 million in revenue. We're going to have a few more of these events. Another one in Buckhead later this evening, and another one in Alpharetta tomorrow. Back to you.
$1 million in revenue. That's going to be great for these entrepreneurs. Chris Rosenthal, thank you so much for a look inside and giving us that information. I do appreciate it. I know you're going to be joining us again for Fox 5 News Live at 2 and 3 o'clock. We appreciate your time. And we appreciate your time for joining us here for Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock. I'm Tyler Finger. Thanks so much for streaming along with us and joining us throughout this hour as we gave you the day's top headlines and also previewed some of the big events happening this weekend and also talked about the big return to baseball at Truist Park. That's going to be happening tomorrow as the Braves kick off their MLB season, 2026 MLB season, and we're obviously looking forward to that. We're going to have full coverage on that throughout the day tomorrow, and I appreciate you joining us, and the news continues at 2 with Ariel Onstadt. We're back after that.
Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thank you so much for being here at 2 o'clock on your Thursday afternoon. We've got a lot of news to get to. We're going to talk about the latest that's unfolding with the president's 11th cabinet meeting of his second term. We're also going to talk about some local headlines that we're following here in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom, like a man who's now been arrested after he's, according to police, brought a fully automatic weapon to a Bojangles. We're going to get into that. But first, let's turn your attention to our state capitol, where our Deidre Dukes is live, because Deidre, residents of Social Circle here in Georgia have been really frustrated trying to understand what an ICE detention facility, taking that fight, if you will, to the state capitol. What can you tell us?
As far as when these residents first got word that allegedly there was going to be a massive facility placed in their community by ICE officials, the Department of Homeland Security, they said initially, those I talked to today, when they saw that report in one of the national newspapers, said, oh, there's just no way something like that could come here. And then, of course, they learned the way the rest of us did here in the state as this all unfolded, that in fact there were plans by federal officials to locate one of these facilities there in their small community. And since that time, they really have kind of revved up, organized, been fighting this effort with everything that they have, including lobbying here at the state capitol throughout this session. Any lawmaker who would open their door and listen to them as to why this would just be a terrible idea for their community. Now, they too tell us that they have not heard anything really as far as communications from the federal government. That is very much a concern for them. They say the facility has been purchased. The local authorities, as a result of what they see as a lack of transparency and little if no communication, just recently, as you know, Ariel, placed locks on the water meters there because they are saying that with this lack of transparency, it just leaves a lot of their concerns unanswered, a lot up in the air. That is in part because if this does occur, if this plan does unfold the way that we are told that it will, that detention facility could house up to 10,000 people. And the individuals that we talk to in Social Circle say our community, our small town, just simply cannot accommodate that number of people. They're saying their roads, their water, sewage just could not hold up to that. And so they're just very, very concerned. Also, they have public safety concerns and just how overall this will impact their quality of life. And so they did come here to the state capitol today. They held a news conference. We talked to and heard from people who live in Social Circle. We heard from some Democratic state lawmakers who are expressing support for those individuals who live in that community, and also some advocates who are working on the behalf of people who live in that community were also on hand today. But here's what one of the residents told us about her concerns about what's going on there in Social Circle.
There was going to be some light industrial zoning there, which we knew, but we never envisioned that anything like this was going to come there. Like, we never thought there would be a prison there. That's not what we thought would happen. And I know that growth comes to every town eventually, but it should be in a controlled and reasonable manner. And this is so far outside the scope of what our town is ready for and what we desire. We want to be heard, because the financial impact alone is going to hurt all of us in that town and in the surrounding communities. The warehouse is located in Social Circle, but it's going to have a ripple effect.
And the resident you heard from, she has lived in Social Circle for over 2 decades and said it really is kind of a Mayberry-esque community, that there are still simply 2-lane roads and only one stoplight in the community. And so to have something like this come to town just really is overwhelming for all those who live there, call this city home. They did say that they do hope that Governor Kemp and other state lawmakers will speak out on their behalf, intercede with the government, the federal government, to do anything possible that they can do to keep this from opening in their community area.
Deidre, it's really interesting to see how this debate has evolved over time, because I know in the beginning we were facing questions as to trying to understand whether or not that facility would open there in Social Circle, and then very quickly we were hearing that it could open very soon and be operational in a matter of months. And so I understand why residents are concerned as they're trying to ask, what does this mean for our community? Have you heard anything from anyone else on the other side there at the Capitol? Has anyone else chimed in as to where this could go, or are we expecting anything as a result of this advocacy today?
Well, we have not heard anything from the other side, and in particular from the federal government. As you know, we've reached out on several occasions to try to get a clear understanding of exactly what impact this will have on Social Circle, and we have not heard back as to the specifics. And so that's what's so concerning, is the lack of transparency. Those who live and work there say just the not knowing and the concerns that this is just going to have a devastating impact on their community.
Deidre, I appreciate your reporting today, and as always, thank you for the conversation and letting us know what's unfolding. I'll let you get back to it, and we'll see you again later this evening. So Deidre Dukes, thank you again. As we continue here at 2 o'clock, guys, I want to tell you about something else unfolding at the Capitol. We first brought this story to you yesterday, and I'd like to continue drawing your attention to it because a new Georgia bill would force nonpartisan elections for local offices in 5 of Georgia's most populous counties. So it's a significant legislative move because the Georgia State Senate has advanced this bill. It's Bill 369, and it's a Republican-led measure. It would fundamentally change the ballot for millions of voters, and it specifically mandates that voters in Clayton, Cobb, DeKalb, Fulton, and Gwinnett counties would see local races on their ballots as nonpartisan races. It would apply to the most powerful positions in local government, like district attorney, county commissioner, and tax commissioner, local school boards, and public safety. Now, Republicans who have advocated for this bill say that this change is necessary for administrative efficiency, and they say it would help with public safety in high-density areas. They've also pointed to major upcoming international events like the FIFA World Cup is the reason for the shift. But they also say that as they're looking at this, the sponsor of the bill, Republican Senator John Albers, says that making offices like the district attorney and the tax commissioner nonpartisan would ensure these roles remain focused on their duties rather than party politics, especially as the region prepares to host the World Cup and the Super Bowl in the next few years. So this is something that Democrats on the other side are saying is going to be a lawsuit. They say that there's no data-driven justification for targeting only these 5 specific counties. And Senate Minority Leader Harold Jones held a news conference yesterday where he was speaking a little bit about this, and he contends the bill is unconstitutional and violates existing state law. So we're going to continue to keep you updated on this as it moves through. But let's move on to a story I first told you about when we came here at 2 o'clock, and that is a man is now facing multiple charges after his fully automatic weapon was seized by police. He's 22 years old and facing multiple felony charges. Police say he refused to leave a Marietta Bojangles Monday afternoon. They responded to that Bojangles on Cobb Parkway just after lunchtime. Staff called police and said the man had been sitting in the restaurant for hours and refused to leave. And officers, when they responded, came to multiple points of entry at that Bojangles. They found 22-year-old Joseph Watson attempting to slip out the back of the building. And that's when that man, Watson, walked directly into an officer, according to police. The officer noticed the outline of a handgun in Watson's hoodie pocket and asked if he had any weapons. That's when police say Watson denied having any weapons, but immediately reached to that front pouch where the gun was located. So the officer stepped forward and grabbed Watson's arm and secured the weapon, later identified to be a Glock reported stolen out of Union City. Investigators further figured out that that handgun had been modified modified with a switch to become a fully automatic weapon, and it also contained a magazine with 31 rounds and one in the chamber. Additionally, police found a backpack containing multiple bags of marijuana already packaged for distribution, along with another bag of additional supplies. So this is something we'll continue to keep you updated on, as Watson is being held in the Cobb County Jail right now without bond. And a new report, let's talk about this one. A new report from the Federal Aviation Administration is identifying 5 Georgia airports as potential collision risk spots. The report is identifying areas where there's an increased risk of runway collisions or confusion. The airports on this list include Augusta Regional, Columbus Airport, DeKalb Peachtree Airport, Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, and Savannah's Hilton Head International Airport. Officials say these hotspots can involve issues like planes taxiing onto the wrong runway or navigating areas with heavy vehicle traffic. In total, the Federal Aviation Administration identified more than 150 hotspots across at airports across the United States, and they're trying to identify these risks for collision. As you might know, the FAA does conduct these reports periodically to try to understand how to prevent these risks from occurring. But this updated list does come after tragedy at LaGuardia's airport, where we saw a collision between a fire truck and an Air Canada flight, killing 2 people. The FAA has reported more than 1,600 runway incursions happened last year and nearly 100 in January alone. So ultimately, officials are really trying to address these close calls across the nation. But speaking of airports, as always, if you're headed out to Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport, you're probably checking social media, trying to check online to see if you can get any information as to what the wait times look like before you head out. So have no fear, because we have Tara Jabbour here with us live from Hartsfield-Jackson International to give us a live look here at 2:13 this afternoon. So Tara, good afternoon. What are you seeing at Atlanta's airport right now?
Hey Ariel, right now we are standing in front of that main checkpoint, and this line has grown significantly, I would say, in the last hour. So take a look at the line here behind me. As you can see, a lot of people waiting. Of course, they are all here several hours before their flight. Most people expected to wait in line for security, since we've been seeing this now for a couple weeks. This is all, of course, due to that partial government shutdown. The wait time right now seems to be over 2 hours, but it is hard to tell because things are just constantly changing. The good news is that the line is moving. So if you're coming to the airport, you will move through this line eventually. How much time it takes really does just depend on the time of day. Now, we know that TSA agents obviously have not gotten a full paycheck in over a month now. Now the federal government has ICE agents here that are helping with crowd control. We've also seen a lot of officers from the Atlanta Police Department and police from the Department of Homeland Security. So there's lots of different law enforcement that are here at the airport. Now, we got a chance to speak with a lot of travelers earlier today. Let's take a listen on what they had to say about TSA workers missing those paychecks.
I think it's horrible. It really sucks, but unfortunately people do have to travel, so it's kind of like a catch-22, I guess. Like, we have to travel, they're not getting paid, so why come to work if you're not being paid?
It's brutal. If I could figure out how to give them some money, I would do that, because it's got to be painful for them, for sure. I feel for them.
And Ariel, that's honestly the message that I've heard over and over again from people. Of course, no one wants to wait in this long line, but a lot of people seem to understand the reason why they're waiting in the line. And a lot of people obviously feel bad for TSA agents that are working here without pay. Now, the airport is asking people still to arrive 4 hours before your scheduled flight time. That's, of course, because you may have to sit in a very long security line.
Letting us know where things stand here this afternoon. I am curious because I was seeing video on social media of ICE agents now checking people in at the TSA security line, basically running their licenses and showing them doing some TSA-like security functions. And Fox News has learned that ICE agents are now being trained in TSA procedures and are assisting with not just that crowd control, but screening passengers as well. So I'm curious Have you seen any ICE agents working to screen passengers like TSA agents there today?
I have not. The ICE agents that I've seen here so far have just been doing crowd control. They actually are up on this level above me, kind of like watching over in front of the main checkpoint here. I've also seen some ICE agents down the hall from where we are, just kind of pointing people in the right direction, also leading people up escalators. So I've not seen them screening any passengers here today.
Okay, very good to know. Tara, thank you so much for joining us live, letting us know what you're seeing and experiencing there in the airport. Appreciate you, and I'll let you get back to it as we plan to see you again later this evening. As we continue here at 2 o'clock, I want to let you guys know what we are seeing from the Department of Homeland Security and what we're seeing from our federal government, because as of this afternoon, Republicans say they've given Democrats their last and final offer on funding for the Department of Homeland Security. That is according to Senate Majority Leader John Thune. He opened chamber today by saying that Democrats need to, quote, get serious about funding DHS. And he says that he thinks the Democrats are now in possession of Republicans' last and final offer, so he hopes funding gets done. Now, Thune did not comment on what was in the proposal after each side in the White House have sought to find a deal. But guys, things are ticking. We are getting down to the wire because lawmakers are set to leave next week for recess for 2 weeks. So if congressional leaders leave for a recess for 2 weeks, no deals are going to get made in that time, and it's expected that things could get worse. We've seen hundreds of TSA agents leave the job for good, quitting basically because they can't afford to work for free. The acting TSA administrator actually testified before Congress Wednesday, sharing some grim statistics. She says TSA lines are the longest they've ever been in history, some topping 4 hours. Nearly 500 officers have quit, she says, and many cannot pay their bills. She described officers sleeping in their cars, selling blood and plasma, trying to make ends meet, all at the same time being expected to perform to the highest level, protecting airports and flights as people try to travel to their destinations. So she said this just simply is not sustainable. The head of the TSA is also warning a funding agreement, if not reached soon, could halt operations at some smaller airports here across the country in order to consolidate TSA agents. So this is a very serious situation and one that we'll continue to keep you updated on as we learn new details. Guys, we're going to continue with national news here this afternoon, but I would like to take a break. It is Thursday afternoon, and if you're looking ahead for some fun things to do this Friday, the Braves opening day is always a great contender. So we have a live look where a news conference is going on. We're listening to Chris Sale right now as the Braves get ready to gear up for their incoming season. Let's listen to him.
A lot, and it makes it easier to be around. But being here in 24 was my first taste of it, and seeing how passionate the fan base was. How great of a family environment this really was, and then you get inside that clubhouse. I mean, that I said it 2-3 weeks into my first spring training here. It was an easy clubhouse to walk into and kind of mesh. So the culture's great. The everything. There's just so many green flags here that it's a great place to be, and I want to be here for as long as I'm playing baseball.
Chris, you described opening day as Christmas Day. You've done a lot of these, but the night before getting into the marathon of the season, what is that like year after year?
Yeah, it's still nerve-wracking. I'd be lying if I didn't say I still got nervous. I even get nervous for spring training games. You have this. Anytime you're going into competition, you can be the hardest worker, you can be the most prepared, and you can play the worst on any given day. And on the flip side of that, you can prepare not at all. You can have zero work into it and have success. So, I try to get good sleep and try to get, eat right and all that stuff. But sometimes you find yourself kind of staring at the ceiling, just going like, all right, it's go time. So, no more getting your work in. Those spring training quotes, they're all in the past. So, this isn't about trying harder or working on a process. This is about going out and getting it done. So, that's what tomorrow brings.
I know you said you'd never challenge a pitch, but did you learn anything about ABS this spring that maybe you weren't expecting to learn?
I learned that I should never challenge a pitch, quite honestly. There were a couple, outings in spring trainings. I had some pitches that were close. And I even came in, I said, I probably would have, if I were to do it, I probably would have challenged that. And I don't think I was right once, to be completely honest with you. Maybe once or twice, but I feel like I had a pretty clean spring in terms of challenges and not challenges. But yeah, the one thing I learned is that I shouldn't do it. So I was right out of the gate, which is rare for me.
Chris, you said it's been a while since you threw 100 miles per hour. When was the last time you did that? And do you think it's overrated to throw that hard, particularly on a consistent basis?
Well, I'll answer the second question first. No, it's never underrated to throw 100. You throw 100, you let that thing rip. We don't play. The way the game goes now, you can't take a single pitch off. You can't cruise at 90%. You can't try to steal strikes because one pitch can dictate an entire ball game, and then you can affect other people. So if you got it, you got to go. It's like going to a drag strip. You think those guys are worried about breaking their car? They got to go pedal to the metal. They have to run the fastest possible race they can race. Because if you don't, you're going to lose. The first part of that question would probably be better for someone in here to answer. I don't remember the last time I had like a 100 point something, but it was probably many moons ago.
Okay, guys, you're listening in as Chris Sale talks a little bit about what he's looking forward to with the Braves season, some challenges, some things that he thinks are going to go well. Wanted to bring that to you live while we had the opportunity. So as we continue here and get ready for opening day tomorrow at Truist Park, we've got lots to look forward to. We'll keep you updated on the Braves season. But let's continue along here because there are a few things I still want to make sure we get in with you guys. And that is today, President Trump held a cabinet meeting to discuss a variety of things, including the Department of Homeland Security shutdown, the conflict in the Middle East, as well as we looked at this, we heard him discuss a variety of issues, and he touched on how senators on Capitol Hill are struggling to reach a deal with funding for the Department of Homeland Security, and also the Iran war. Let's take a listen to some of his comments during the president's 11th cabinet meeting since his second term in office.
We're now on day 41 of the disgraceful Democrat shutdown of Mark Wayne's department. Congratulations. We came into a department that's shut down by the radical Democrats. Right? But Democrats are really punishing the American people. I saw it today on one of the shows where they were interviewing people at the airport, and they're all angry at the Democrats. They're saying they're actually angry at Schumer. I didn't think anyone knew his name. One woman said, that Schumer is disgraceful. He's a disgrace to our country. But they're angry at the Democrats. They know what's happening. But they're punishing the American people, including travelers at airports, all in the quest to return to open borders and give amnesty to illegal alien criminals. I want to give an update on the Operation Epic Fury, which is an appropriate name because we are absolutely obliterating them. Over the past 3 weeks, we've been hitting Iran's military capabilities at a level that few people have ever seen before. People never knew there was such a capability. We have the strongest military anywhere in the world by far. I built it during my first administration, and I used it during my second administration. Unfortunately, because I'd rather not have to use it. But it's a display of force and precision and skill like nothing the world has really witnessed. Nobody's a match for the United States, but they're not a match for the United States. It's small potatoes. That's why I'm so disappointed in NATO, because this was a test for NATO. This was a test. You can help us. You don't have to, but if you don't have, if you don't do that, we're going to remember. Just remember this in a number of months from now. Remember my statements. They have an expression, a great expression. Never forget.
Listening in as President Trump detailed what's going on with Iran and some other issues. So let's talk about it, because as it comes to Iran, the deadline that President Trump issued, a 5-day deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz and accept the United States 15-point peace plan, is getting close to expiring. And as we take a look at this, that 15-point peace plan Iran reportedly rejected and came back with their own deal. But let's talk about it, because if diplomatic progress is not made, President Trump says the United States military is going to deliver a stronger response. And it comes as U.S. Military forces continue to devastate Iranian targets. Military officials say they've hit 10,000 in nearly a month, destroying Iran's Navy, Air Force, and weapons facilities. President Trump continues to say he thinks the war could wrap up soon, but he's frustrated by Iran's mixed messaging. Publicly, Iranian officials say they're not negotiating. However, Pakistan's foreign ministers confirmed U.S.-Iran indirect talks are happening through messages being relayed by Pakistan, and the country could ultimately host face-to-face negotiations. Time is running out to make a deal because the president's pause on striking Iran's energy infrastructure expires Friday, tomorrow. That is, if the Strait of Hormuz isn't back open by then, the U.S. military is ready to take the strait by force. Army paratroopers and more Marines are already on the way to the region. And overnight, Iran's top naval commander responsible for closing the strait was killed by an Israeli airstrike. So guys, we're going to continue to keep you updated on this. And as we continue, we're going to get a check of your weather forecast straight ahead. Welcome back in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstad. It is great to see you here. Meteorologist Jonathan Stacy is tracking your forecast for this Thursday afternoon. He lets us know what to expect.
Temperatures returning to the 80s today will be several degrees above average as we look for a high of 80 degrees here in Atlanta. There is much warmer air back to the west. You don't have to worry about it invading, though, because as we boost the temperature up for the final part of the work week, the numbers are coming down into the weekend. Looking up to the north across the Midwest, we'll be watching for severe storms. In fact, a level 3 out of 5 risk across portions of Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio as we get into the late evening and overnight hours. We'll be watching an area of low pressure drift to the east, but then move southward as we go through the overnight hours. This is 6 p.m. Storms that could produce damaging winds and even tornadoes will blaze across the Midwest through the Ohio River Valley down through the Tennessee Valley. But as the front drifts farther down to the south, it really runs out of moisture. Therefore, our rain chances are not too great. In fact, we could have a passing shower late Friday night going into Saturday, but it looks like drier than not conditions will stick around. In terms of the temperatures started out this morning in the 60s and will ultimately push those temps into the 70s with a hope of hitting a high of 80 degrees before it's all said and done. That is my forecast high for today. The average high for this time of the year, the 26th day of March, 68 degrees. So we're definitely outdoing ourselves in terms of this warmth. Tonight, temperatures Temperatures will fall down to either side of 60 degrees as we kick off our Friday. Friday will be an exceptional day filled with plenty of warmth and sunshine. Temperatures near record-breaking levels. In fact, we have a record that we could potentially hit tomorrow. The current temperature so far at this point, set back in 1994 of 86 degrees, is our forecast temperature, and our forecast high for tomorrow, 86 degrees. The numbers taking a back step as we get into Saturday and Sunday, and winds will be quite gusty. In fact, you'll have northerly breezes that will make it feel pretty chilly out to start your Saturday morning. Temperatures really languishing in the 50s and the 60s, but quickly rolling into the 70s after we shake the chill on Sunday. Those 70s are locked in and will turn into 80s as we get into the middle of the week to come.
Well, Jonathan, thanks for letting us know what to expect. Definitely feels like some great baseball weather for opening day. As we continue here at 2 o'clock, I want to keep you updated on what's happening. And one story that we're continuing to watch closely involves ex-Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife Celia Flores. They made their return to a Manhattan federal court today. Both are facing federal charges, and if they're convicted, could face decades in prison. So let's get out to Fox News correspondent Caroline Elliott. Caroline, great to see you. What can you tell us about what happened in court today?
Yeah, hi Ariel, it's good to be with you. So leading up to today, we know that Nicolas Maduro's legal team has been trying to get this entire case tossed out, but the judge made it clear today that this case will go to trial. Now, Ariel, this is pretty substantial because, again, we know before today, his attorney asked the court to dismiss this case because there's been a lot of back and forth on who would pay for Maduro's legal fees. Essentially, we know right now the U.S. is blocking the Venezuelan government from paying those attorneys' fees, and they're doing this because of, quote, national security reasons. But the judge went over that today, and he seemed pretty skeptical that that would really meet the standard of a national security concern. And so the judge did not make a decision on that today, but again, just seemed quite skeptical on that. So we'll see where this goes from here. We will note that Maduro did not speak directly to anyone today during the courtroom, but we do know before today he has said that he's an innocent, decent man, and as far as he's concerned, he still thinks he's the president of Venezuela.
Interesting, Caroline, as we've seen changes in Venezuela since he's left the country. I'm curious, would you be able to explain a little bit further some of the charges that he's facing and how the United States might be trying to build this case against him?
Yeah, so we do know that Maduro is facing a long laundry list of charges, including charges related to narco-terrorism, conspiracy to import cocaine, as well as various weapon charges. So we do know that Maduro has been wanted in the U.S. for a long time. This indictment goes back to 2020, but this arrest also goes back to that raid that we saw in January. And so we do know that U.S. prosecutors right now are trying to actively build a case against him, and the focus is on the drug trade in Venezuela, what kind of responsibility he had in that, and also how those drugs made it into the United States.
Caroline, as a final question for you, what are you seeing outside the courtroom today, outside of that courthouse? Any supporters, protesters? Clue us into the mood there.
Yeah, so court did let out in the last 30 minutes or so, but we will tell you earlier today we saw maybe 100 protesters out here demanding that the U.S. release Maduro from custody. Again, we know he's been in custody for about 83 days now, and people were out here really passionately shouting to let him go, saying that they didn't want any kind of U.S. involvement in this at all. Again, we did hear of a few people out here that were supporting the U.S. in this effort. But again, this really just goes to show how split public opinion is on this issue and how much attention this case is getting. Ariel.
Caroline, thank you so much for offering context as to what's happening with this appearance today. We'll continue to stay tuned to you for more information as this progresses forward, but appreciate our conversation. I'll let you get back to news gathering. Caroline Elliott, thanks so much for joining us live. As As we continue here at 2 o'clock, everyone, looking ahead, I want to talk to you guys about what's unfolding at the CDC here in Atlanta. You know, there was a shooting that unfolded, a deadly shooting involving a police officer. What the CDC is doing or not doing to make repairs to that facility after that deadly incident. We're going to talk about it coming up next. Welcome back in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstad. Absolute pleasure to have you here at 2 o'clock. Let's talk about some headlines we're following here in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. We're going to start with Ukraine because as of right now, we know that as the war in Ukraine continues to ramp back up, drone attacks are taking out Russia's oil infrastructure. Let's talk about it because these drone attacks have taken out 40% of Russia's oil export capacity, potentially crippling Russia's economy and hampering its ability to continue in the war. We saw fires that erupted from a major Russian oil port. These fires could be seen as far away as Finland, and this is part of a new Ukrainian offensive targeting Russia's most valuable commodity, its oil. Ukrainians have now knocked out a lot of that oil capacity, hitting pipelines, refineries, and pumping stations, and it's a direct effort to try to choke off energy ventures that fund Moscow's war machine against Ukraine. Ukraine is now asking European allies to help in this matter, but these new attacks do come after Russia launched almost 1,000 drones in a 24-hour period, trying to start their spring offensive. Ukraine, though, seems to be in a better position to be able to defend itself with what we're seeing. Russian talks are proceeding, but the major sticking point is land concessions. Ukraine does not want to give up its land, and Russia wants what Ukraine has. So President Trump is still pushing for a diplomatic solution, but says it's not going to be easy. The latest round of talks were held over the weekend between the United States and Ukraine's negotiating team, but it is not clear when they are going to be meeting again. As we talk about the war in the Middle East and, of course, the war between Russia and Ukraine, I want to talk about a change that's happening with the United States military, and that is the U.S. Army is raising its enlistment age, backing off of rules as well with recruits as it relates to drug convictions. So the U.S. Army is really trying to get more soldiers, and as a result, the maximum recruitment age is moving from 35 years old to 42 years old. And that isn't the only change here. The Army also says it's going to ease restrictions for people who have a single marijuana conviction. A single conviction for possession of marijuana or drug paraphernalia required a waiver from the Pentagon and passing a drug test. The new age requirements puts the U.S. Army at a similar standpoint to other military branches. The U.S. military, within it, the Army was the one with the lowest rate that people could joined by. The Air Force, others branches were already at that age of 42. The U.S. Air Force had raised its age to a maximum of 42 years old from 39 in 2023, and the Navy raised their cap back in 2022. So we'll continue to keep you updated as this continues, but that is a change the Army is making. And as I discussed earlier, let's talk about the CDC here in Atlanta, because the windows of the CDC that were, as you can see, damaged in an attack on that building here in Atlanta have still not been replaced. We still see bullet-damaged windows even 7 months after that attack. Temporary coverings were installed, according to officials there, and they say permanent repairs are underway. But it's been 7 months since that shooting, and according to an Associated Press report, the CDC's acting chief addressed the issue at a recent staff meeting after employees have been asking for an update as to when these windows will be fully fixed. Officials say many of the damaged windows have been temporarily covered, and a CDC official said permanent repairs are now underway with work beginning this month. So we'll continue to keep you updated on this situation as it progresses. Another story I want to make you guys aware of: if you do a lot of business with the United States Postal Service, there's going to be temporary price hikes coming to the USPS. This is because of surging gas prices as it relates to the war in the Middle East. The U.S. Postal Service announced Wednesday it's going to be adding a temporary 8% surcharge to its Priority Mail Express, Priority Mail, and USPS Ground Advantage and Parcel Select services. It comes as prices surge as it relates to gas, and the war with Iran is reaching its 4th week. The USPS says that they're trying to adapt to changing market conditions. The surcharge is going to kick in April 26th. It is pending approval from the USPS Regulatory Commission, and it's expected to last until January of next year, when this cost is going to be reevaluated. But as we have seen here lately, a lot of things do get increased as it relates to charges and fees. They don't necessarily come back down. So when this is evaluated next year, it's going to be interesting to see if they do reverse it, would plan for these temporary price hikes to potentially become permanent. As we continue here at 2 o'clock, we're going to take a look ahead and take you out to a new athletic facility with our Eli Jordan. It's really cool, and it actually has some features to help test your body composition and performance. We're going to chat about it here coming up next. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being here. It is great to see you. We're going to try to get some other stories here for you coming up. Like I mentioned, we want to see if we can go out live to a new athletic facility in Milton. But first, we're going to start with this. It is a second verdict against Meta, and this time the verdict also ruled against YouTube with Google in play. A California jury found Meta and YouTube responsible for harm to a 20-year-old plaintiff. She alleges she became addicted to social media and says Meta and YouTube deliberately designed their platforms to entice younger users. It's a first of its kind lawsuit, and it's the first time that these tech giants are being held accountable by a jury. We just saw a landmark verdict just yesterday in another case against Meta. The social media addiction trial has officially sided against the tech industry, and these verdicts could have major consequences beyond the courtroom. The cause is personal for many parents around the United States who say their kids became addicted to social media. And that is the case for this victim, who says that she started using YouTube when she was 6 and Instagram when she was 9, leading to mental health struggles and even suicidal thoughts. Jurors awarded her $6 million. It's a drop in the bucket for Meta and YouTube, but it could have a ripple effect. So this is something that we're going to continue to keep you updated on. It's the second verdict against Meta in less than a week, and likely will not be the last. So as we continue here at 2 o'clock, that's something we're going to continue to keep you updated on. But let's go out live to the Old Fourth Ward neighborhood here in Atlanta. That's where we have our Chris Rosenthal live. And Chris, I understand that there's a massive effort underway to help women entrepreneurs. Tell us about it.
Yeah, absolutely. This event actually just kind of wrapping up now as we speak here. A company called Brain Trust, founded by a woman named Sherry Deutschman, 2019, as a sort of a business to empower other females and other women businesses. Of course, this is very appropriate here on Women's History Month, and so they've come here to Atlanta, and about 40 female entrepreneurs are here today, having a meeting, learning a little bit more. But you know, the big goal here is to try and empower these businesses to the point where they grow and they scale to the point where they have $1 million revenue per year. You know, only about 2% of women businesses get really to that point. So they want to grow that. And I spoke with Sherry Deutschman a little bit earlier today, just all about this program.
Our goal is to see more women finding their financial independence, wealth even, and the influence that comes from that.
And why is that so important here, especially with Women's Month this month?
Well, it's really born out of my own story of being a single mom. I was a toilet scrubber. I had a route where I cleaned gas station bathrooms. I have only a high school education. But I was able to start a company in my basement, a company that I grew to $40 million a year, debt-free, and sold that company, but along the way got a ton of influence, being able to address Congress on the business case for raising the minimum wage, being featured in the New York Times, and then being honored by President Obama as a White House champion of change. And all of that really happened because I had a successful business that gave me a platform. And I want more women to experience that and more women to have power in this world.
Are you sort of passing it on, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm trying to do.
And tell me about today, and tell me about what do you guys have going on here?
Well, today we have a lowdown. A lowdown is when we give women the down low or the lowdown on what Brain Trust is, how it operates, and how we help women grow and scale. We've been in Nashville for a couple of years, and we have a couple of hundred members there. We're live in Charlotte, but so many women in Atlanta reached out to us and said, please bring this program to Atlanta. So here we are. So women will walk away knowing they're not lonely anymore, that there'll be hundreds of other women who are growing businesses. And there's this factor with entrepreneurship where you don't know what you don't know, and what you don't know can kick your butt.
Tell me about the kind of businesses that you're seeing.
Oh my goodness, they're every kind of business. We have women who are building healthcare tech platforms, women who are actually physicians, lawyers, women who have hair salons, nail salons, restaurateurs, service providers. We have several lawyers who are members. So it's any woman who owns a business.
And why is this so important?
Because I believe that the economic effect of women having an equal opportunity to build wealth and influence through their businesses, I think if we had the same opportunities as men did, it would be not a trickle effect. It would be a tsunami to an economic impact to this city and to every city where we reside.
And they'll be having another event tonight in Buckhead, and then also tomorrow in Alpharetta. That's Brain Trust. Back to you.
Awesome, Chris. Brain Trust sounds like a really cool thing to get involved with, so thanks for bringing it to our attention. I'll let you get back to the event there. Sounds like a lot going on, a lot of meeting of the minds, if you will. So Chris Rosenthal, thanks for joining us. I do appreciate it. As we continue here at 2 o'clock, we want to get out to our Eli Jordan live in Milton, where a new athletic facility has just opened. And Eli, I understand this facility is really significant to the community. Why is that?
Hey, good afternoon, Ariel. Yes, it's really cool because this is a Georgia-born company, Legacy Sports Complex. There's 5 of them. This is the 5th one opening up. And the reason why they're cool is because they're owned by former Braves players, Falcons players, former pro athletes. They're running this place and they're bringing in real pros to help train. And, you can do everything from football training to lacrosse, to soccer, to baseball, all sorts of different things out here. And it's geared toward the younger athletes who are serious about their sports because, that's a big deal now because, high school athletes, but the NIL can be coming right out of high school, potentially making a lot of money, and so they got to be really on their game. And just an example of the kind of training they have here. I have Kyle Meadows here, and Kyle, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
And tell me, you've had some experience training some people, haven't you? You're an Olympian, aren't you? An Olympic trainer.
That's right. I've trained some of the fastest, some of the best athletes in the world, and that same methodology, ideology that we use to train those athletes, we do right here.
And so you're going to be here at Mark Brown's Legacy Sports Complex, aren't you?
That's right. I'll be in charge of human development.
And so tell me, how is Legacy Sports Complex different than other, facilities?
Yeah, it's checks and balances. We have checks and balances for our athletes. We have checks and balances for the coaches, and that's based on baseline data. We need data. We use quantitative analysis to analyze our athletes so we can actually move the needle, right? We can't affect a change in an athlete unless we have information, unless we have data, so we can let them know the value and the benefits, and then we as coaches, it makes us better coaches.
And the ethos has changed a good bit, especially, high school kids can make money as soon as they graduate almost. They're getting signed sometimes while they're still a senior.
That's true. So the good of it is they understand the importance and that seriousness, and we're here for serious athletes that want to actually be special and want to make a difference.
Now, one thing they have here that they're still setting up a little bit is the right down there. They got the body loop.
They do,
and then that's really geared for. It measures the body, gives you a baseline, I guess. For I guess if you get injured or if you're trying to lose some weight or gain some mass, it gives you a baseline, and it does a whole 3D scan of your body, right?
Yeah, you can use that for return to play. Anytime you can do an analysis of the body and see where the asymmetries lie. So it can be useful as a tool, as another tool to assess performance, to assess anomalies.
So Kyle, tell me, what kind of athlete should look into joining, buying some packages here, coming here and checking it out?
The beautiful thing is we train all athletes, right? One of the things about what we do is most of those ballistic athletes such as soccer, football, basketball, start and stop athletes, right? We develop the muscular system, the neuromuscular system, the cognitive piece. So we train all athletes here. We have something special for them.
Gotcha. Anywhere from what? I guess lacrosse, baseball, football, all that stuff?
Absolutely. All those things you just talked about are ballistic. They're start and stop sports, right? So we train all those and develop protocols specifically for the physiological expectations of those sports, those individual sports.
Awesome. Kyle Meadows, thank you very much for your time today. And this is a Georgia-owned business. I mean, they're born here, Legacy Sports Complex. There's 5 of them, straight out of Georgia, and they're expanding. They're up here in Milton. And if you want more information, you can go to legacysportscomplex.com. Again, that's Legacy. I hope I got that right. Let me make sure. Yeah, I know. I don't want to get it wrong, do I? But it's legacysportscomplex.com. I remember writing that down. But so you can check it out, or just come on up to Milton at the Legacy Sports Complex, or they got to check out the others. But check it out. It's for the serious athlete.
Eli, this looks so cool. Love the diagram of Shaq in the background. And as just a very quick final question to you, do I have to be an athlete to come to a facility like this, or if I just wanted to come check it out on my own, am I able to do that? Do you know?
So, I'm going to ask Kyle, if you're not an athlete, but you want to come check it out and just, get some personal growth and all that, can you come down here?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have programs for people that just, the weekend warriors that want to make a difference, and assessment and having those good eyes on them. Absolutely.
Awesome. And real quick, Ariel.
Yeah.
Milton, LegacySportsComplex.com.
Okay.
Thank
you.
Milton,
Eli.
LegacySportsComplex.com. Thanks, Ariel.
Appreciate it. As always, we'll see you again here at 3 o'clock. Really exciting to see this here in the community. Okay, guys, as we prepare to switch gears here, gearing up for 3 o'clock, we have Tom Haynes real quick. Tom, what you got going on for 3?
Ariel, by the way, Eli's got the assignment of the day, I think. That sports complex.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So cool.
So much fun, right? We have a new development, Ariel, in the case of a juvenile who mishandled a loaded gun, discharged, killing a child. Our Angelique Proctor on deck with the latest in that investigation. Plus, famous Judge Glenda Hatchett in the news once again with a case surrounding her and a high-profile sexual battery case. Our reporter Larry Spruill on top of that story for us. Plus, we're approaching the weekend.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to know what the weather is going to do. Jonathan Stacy's going to be along here in just a couple of minutes with our forecast.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, you guys. Thanks as always for being here. I'm Ariel Onstott. More to come at 3 o'clock.
Hey everybody, good afternoon. Welcome to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. I'm your host, Tom Haynes, live in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom, getting you caught up on all the day's big stories. Want to get right out to LaGrange, where police there said that a 12-year-old is in custody following a fatal shooting last night. Investigators say the juvenile mishandled a loaded gun and discharged, killing that child. Angelique Proctor joins us now live for more on the charges this juvenile is facing. Angelique.
Well, good afternoon to you, Tom. This is really another heartbreaking story about kids and guns. This time, as you said, we are in LaGrange, Georgia, in Troup County, where police here say that a group of kids, a group of young people, gathered at the apartments that you see behind me, the Wood Glen apartments. We're on the east side of LaGrange. They were on North Carey Street when detectives say a 12-year-old, and he is not being named because of his age. Right now, he's being charged as a juvenile. But this 12-year-old was handling a gun, or mishandling it, as police have described. It was a 9mm, and while he was mishandling it, the gun discharged and struck his friend in the chest, and it killed his friend. Now, that friend was Nicarius Gates. We've actually talked to his mother today. She tells us that when she heard about this, she was just absolutely in shock because it didn't sound like anything that he would be involved in. In fact, she said when they first came up with this story, it was a story that was not true.
Initially, they told me that the young lady that owned the apartment said that he shot himself. He was playing with the gun and shot himself. And I said, no, impossible. He doesn't play with guns. He don't fool with guns. Like, no. And that's the story they had until later, about 2 or 3 o'clock. Then the little boy's mom and dad, I guess, took him to the police station, and he told the truth. He told him that he was playing with the gun, and Aquarius told him to put the gun down, and the gun discharged and hit Aquarius in the chest.
What's that? So Gates' mother is just absolutely devastated. She said her 22-year-old son was extremely kind, really loved people, and never really complained about anything, whatever life threw him. He always came out on top. Take a listen.
He was literally an angel on earth. He was the sweetest person. You ask him to run a marathon for you. Okay. If he's one of those kids that never complained ever since he was a little boy, he could fall off this banister and he'd be like, oh, arm just limp. I'm fine. Like he was like that. Sweet, very mannerable, love people.
LaGrange police about what happened here, exactly how this took place. And we found out, very interestingly enough, that they believe this particular gun was actually involved in additional crimes here in the area. In fact, they say they're going to be sending those ballistics to the GBI lab so that they can take another look and see exactly how many crimes they can connect it to. They also explained to us how this shooting happened.
An angel on earth. He was the sweetest person. You ask him to run a marathon for you. Okay.
And of course, we just heard from her on that, but we talked with police that this young man, this 12-year-old, was mishandling this gun. They say it was actually in his possession, which is one of the reasons that they have charged him with, in addition to involuntary manslaughter, possession of a gun for a person under 18. Just a real tragic situation. They said it was a gun that he should have never had. And of course, my first question was, whose gun is this? Who owns the gun? And where did it come from? Police say they really don't know right now, but they are trying to find that out. Still very early in the investigation. This all happened last night around 8:40. 4:45 p.m., so not yet 24 hours, but they are busy working it. This 12-year-old suspect in this case actually had an appearance before a judge this afternoon. He is right now in juvenile custody. They describe it as a probable cause hearing to make sure they have enough evidence for this case to continue. Tom?
Angelique, I was just listening to that heartbroken mother. You know, we all handle grief independently, differently, but it's remarkable how seemingly reflective and in good spirits this mother is, given the fact that she just lost a son, you know?
Well, she believes that her son really was, as she described, an angel on earth, that he always did the right thing. And one of the things that she said is that he told this 12-year-old, put that gun down. And right when he was doing that, the right thing, once again, the gun discharged and hit him in the chest. So she says, although he only got 22 short years to live, they were very good years. And of course, she is heartbroken, but she has a lot of fond memories of her son.
Yeah, and so we have a 12-year-old in custody now facing charges in this case. Not sure if we have that sound with LaGrange police, but if we do, let's go ahead and listen to what they had to say.
The unloading or handling of there's no malice, there was no intent on his part. He was a young man that shouldn't have had the gun in the first place, but he's working with a gun, doing whatever it was he was doing with it, which time it discharged. But it's clear that the intentions were never to harm Mr. Gates. It was just a child that handling a gun that he should have never had.
And unfortunately, that's what we've heard over and over, children with guns that they shouldn't have, Tom.
So, Angelique, given what that officer just said, is the 12-year-old going to face charges in this case or not?
Oh, absolutely. He is facing an involuntary manslaughter charge, as well as a charge for possessing a gun and being under 18. So he is facing very serious charges. He is in juvenile custody right now and just had a hearing this afternoon. So this is definitely a criminal case. All they're saying is it wasn't intentional, so this is not murder. But this clearly was a deadly shooting that has led to an involuntary manslaughter charge for this 12-year-old.
Yeah, as that officer said, just so sad. Angelique, thanks. Also in the news here at 3 o'clock this afternoon, a new Georgia bill could soon strip party labels from local ballots in the Big Five counties. We're talking about the measure that would force nonpartisan races for powerful roles like district attorney and school board in Clayton, Cobb, and in DeKalb, Fulton, and Gwinnett counties. Supporters say that the move keeps the focus on duty over politics. However, opponents call it a radically and racially motivated power play. Fulton County DA Fonnie Willis and DeKalb County DA Sherry Boston already threatening legal action if that bill becomes law. A man is behind bars in Cobb County this afternoon after police say that he brought a machine gun into a Marietta Bojangles restaurant. Employees called officers after 22-year-old Joseph Watson refused to leave the restaurant on Cobb Parkway. Investigators say they found a stolen Glock in his pocket, modified with a switch to be fully automatic. Police also recovered a backpack full of marijuana packaged for sale. Watson's being held without bond on multiple felony charges this afternoon. A new FAA report raising red flags for travelers here in Georgia, identifying some local airports as safety hotspots, we understand. The list of highlighted areas with a higher risk for runway incursions include Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport and DeKalb Peachtree Airport. Augusta Regional, Columbus, and Savannah Hilton Head are also making this list. Officials say that these spots often involve complex taxiways or heavy vehicle traffic out on the tarmac. The warning comes amid a rise in close calls nationwide, including, of course, that recent deadly ground collision at New York's LaGuardia Airport. Gwinnett County Sheriff Cabo Taylor publicly apologizing to famous TV judge Glenda Hatchett following a high-profile sexual battery case. Larry Spruill is live for us this afternoon and has the story. Larry?
Good afternoon, Tom. Now, I'm here at the Gwinnett County Sheriff's Office, and I talked to both Sheriff Taylor and Judge Hatchett early this morning for about 30 minutes. I'm the only news reporter to talk to them, so this is an exclusive story for both of them. Now, if you remember back in 2022 that Judge Hatchett says that she was sexually battered or sexually assaulted by a former sheriff during a Sheriff Association event in Cobb County. Now, since then, she has filed several lawsuits against the association and that former sheriff. And also this week, Sheriff Taylor made known on social media that he apologized on behalf of the association, and he tells me that right is right and wrong is wrong. Now, again, I spoke with both of them earlier this morning. Take a listen to some of our interview.
Colleagues that I've spoken with about this, we're all in agreement and in solidarity behind her. I've not spoken to any of the other sheriffs that, that is supporting GSA in this action. And would I welcome that conversation? Yes. Will I seek that conversation? No.
It's been disappointing. The Georgia Sheriff's Association, as you well know, then turned around and sued me for attorney's fees in conjunction with the civil case that I filed. Hell will freeze over first before I pay them a dime as a matter of principle. It is wrong then to come and re-victimize the person who's already been through this trauma.
Now, with some follow-up questions, I asked the sheriff if he thinks that this is politically or career suicide by him backing the judge. And also I asked the Judge Hatchett if she forgives the guy who did this to her. I'm working on that part of the story, all new at 5 o'clock on Fox 5. Tom?
Great exclusive, Larry. So this is certainly not the end of this story as we move forward. What comes next in this case?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. As you heard, the judge says that she is not going to pay not one dime against the association. And so as right now, the sheriff tells me that he is backing her, but he will have that conversation to his colleagues who do not agree with his decision. So a lot of back and forth, but what's next, that is still yet determined to see. Tom?
Yeah, Judge Hatchett never wanted to be shy to come out and lay it down and let us know how she feels about a certain issue. This certainly no exception. Larry Spruill live for us this afternoon. Larry, thanks. We're getting news about the airport situation, and Fox News learning that ICE agents have been trained in TSA procedures and are now actually assisting at airport checkpoints with everything from crowd control to screening passengers. They're pitching in at TSA checkpoints as the TSA sickouts rise. TSA agents set to miss another paycheck tomorrow as a deal to end the DHS shutdown appears dead after Republicans accuse Democrats of moving the goalpost with unrealistic demands. With a 2-week congressional recess looming, the pressure is on to get a deal done to end this partial government shutdown and get TSA agents back to work at airports and get a hold of these long lines at airports across the United States. President Donald Trump holding a cabinet meeting this morning to discuss the DHS shutdown and the conflict in the Middle East. The meeting comes as senators on Capitol Hill struggle to reach a deal with funding for the DHS. Let's listen to part of what the president had to say today.
Frankly, I thought the oil prices would go up more, and I thought the stock market would go down more. It hasn't been nearly as severe as I thought. I think they have confidence in maybe the American president and maybe the people sitting around this table. But Americans filing their taxes this year are receiving record-setting refunds. It's been a very big story. Well, it should be a big story. I don't think you read about it that much, but I speak about it. I speak about it because if I speak about it, at least people here, you don't write about it. You don't write about the drug prices going down. It'll be going down 30, 40, 50, 60%, 70%. favored nations, called Most Favored Nations. We're going to be paying the lowest price anywhere in the world. Before we paid the highest price in the world, Bobby, right? And now we're going to pay the lowest price in the world. That's quite a difference. It's a difference of from 40 to 70 and 80 and even 90%. That's a pretty big difference. But we're slashing regulations, and investment is pouring in from all over the world. We have the most investment of any country in history has been put into our country in the last year. And again, we had to take a little detour. Won't be long. Going to end soon. We had to take a little detour, go to Iran, and we had to put out a fire. Very dangerous fire that could have blown up big portions of the world, if not the whole thing. So tomorrow we'll be announcing a variety of actions that we're taking to support American farmers, who we never forget. We love the farmers. We gave them $12 billion out of tariff money. We had a tremendous amount of tariff money come in, and we continue to have. We've gone, as you know, the Supreme Court gave us a very unfortunate, foolish ruling, a ruling that gives the people that have ripped off our country for many years, gives them some money back. But it's one of those things. It's a terrible, terrible, horrible mistake they made, but it's okay because we have another method that's just as good. We'll use the other method. But because the tariff money has been so substantial, we gave our farmers, who have been mistreated by some countries, we gave them $12 billion. And they're extremely happy, and they deserve it. They've been great. They never complain. They just go out and they farm, and they wouldn't do anything different. They wouldn't trade jobs with any of you, except maybe some of the fake media. I don't know. Somehow I don't see that. I like their job better, actually. I love the farmers. So we gave them $12 billion. So in just a few moments, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent will discuss the actions that we're taking to address energy prices, which have not gone up as much as I thought, Scott, to be honest with you. And, it's not over, so maybe it'll go up a little bit more. It's all going to come back down to where it was, and probably lower. And my predictions have been right. Trump was right about everything. They have a new hat. Trump was right about everything. It's pretty right. But Scott's going to address that. And I think before we go very much further, I want to ask Vice President J.D. Vance to say a few words about where we are with the situation he's involved with Steve and with Jared on negotiations. And then some of the others will speak. We'll have Marco say a few words. Pete Hegseth, who was born for this role. I mean, he's doing a great job. They gave him a hard time. And now people, I'll tell you, somebody came up to me yesterday, gave you a very hard time, said, I made a mistake. Pete Hegseth is doing a good job. So when I tell you who, you're not even going to believe it. He said, Hegseth, he gave you such a nasty hard time. But you're doing great. And then Steve is going to speak, and Scott will speak last. And if we have any questions, we'll take some questions. You may have questions. I doubt it, but you may have some. So, JD, please.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you. It's good to see everybody. Proud to be part of this team. Proud to be serving the president of the country. Let me just say a couple things. First of all, is the president summarized this very ably. But look, the Iranian conventional military is effectively destroyed. They don't have a navy. They don't have the ability to hit us like they could have even a few weeks ago. And what that does is that gives us options, Mr. President. Now, there's been a lot of reporting about diplomatic options, about negotiations. There's, of course, Pete and his team. There are further military options. But what we have now that we didn't have when the president took over just a little over a year ago is the ability to use every tool at our disposal to ensure that Iran doesn't get a nuclear weapon. Because when I say options, I think it's important the American people know options for what? And it's options to ensure that Iran never has a nuclear weapon. You talk about people who walk into a crowded supermarket and have a vest on, and they blow up the vest and a couple of people get killed, and that's a terrible tragedy. What happens when what's on the vest is not something that can kill a couple of people, but can kill many, many tens of thousands of people? That is the most important American national security objective that exists for any administration at any time, is you don't want the worst people in the world to have a nuclear weapon.
J.D. Vance speaking at a cabinet meeting in Washington, D.C. at the White House earlier this afternoon. The president giving us a bit of an update on the situation in Iran. The vice president elaborating on what the president had to say. The president talking about the fact that the economy hasn't taken as big a hit as perhaps it could have after the actions in Iran due to the price of oil going up so high. He predicts that the price of oil will come back down to where it was or even lower when this conflict is settled one way or another. And the vice president giving us a little bit of a glimpse into how that might come to a conclusion. Speaking of, the president now warning Iran that the United States will take some serious action if they don't come to the bargaining table. And if a peace deal isn't worked out. And they are, the administration, I should say, is setting a deadline to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. That's the critical shipping channel where a large percent of the world's oil moves through. While the U.S. has unveiled a 15-point plan, military strikes have already hit tens of thousands of targets. Overnight, an Israeli airstrike killed Iran's top naval commander, who we understand was in charge of the operations in the strait. If diplomacy fails by Friday, the U.S. is preparing to reopen the strait by force, we understand. The U.S. Army, meantime, is raising its enlistment age from 35 to 42 while easing rules on past marijuana convictions. This all in an effort to increase recruitment. The move aligns with the Army and other branches as it looks to boost recruitment in the midst of ongoing tensions with Iran and in the Middle East. The Pentagon says the changes follow a successful push in surpassing enlistment goals from last year. So a couple of the requirements being relaxed, so to speak, as the United States tries to boost its enlistment in the armed forces. Coming up here, we're going to go to a new Milton training facility being used for some high-tech body scanning, we understand, to change the game for local athletes as we continue. Hey everybody, welcome back to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. I'm your host, Tom Haines, live with you here in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. So happy you're with us this afternoon. I want to take you to Milton now, where we're profiling a really cool training facility using high-tech body scanning to change the game for local athletes. It's called Body Loop, and it tracks their performance and recovery with pinpoint precision. You see Eli Jordan there walking us through exactly what this technology is capable of. Eli?
Hey, Tom. Yeah, well, the Body Loop is right there. I'm not hanging out next to it because you know, it's cool. I mean, it can take measurements. It can take precise measurements. It's for return to sports play. It does a scan of your body, and they just now installed it over here at the new Legacy Sports Complex, which is owned by former Jets linebacker and Auburn linebacker Mark Brown, which is really cool. And that's what the Legacy Sports Complexes are. They're owned by former pro players. You know, we had Johnny Venture earlier. He owns the one over in Swanee. He's pitcher for the Braves. And it's a really, really cool complex because you got top-notch trainers here who know what it takes to win at the next level. And with high school sports and the NIL, you got some, you know, you have high school kids who can get paid well right out of high school, but they got to be on top of their game. And I found a couple of high school guys here who've been checking out the new complex, and I'm here with Caden Williams. Hey, Caden, how you doing?
Good. How about you?
Doing all right. And Cam's right there in the back. Hey, what's up, Cam? All right. So, you guys have been training basketball here. What do you think about this complex?
It's a very high-level complex. Going into the training, we have a former NBA player, Chuck Person, which trains us every day, gives us high-level training. I can say football too. Every day we're in here training with basketball. It's always football training back there. You can see over there is a weight room, good high-level weight room, get good lifting in.
Have you ever gotten like the intense training that you receive here anywhere else, really?
Nah.
What's it like having a former NBA coach?
It's definitely he definitely knows the most. He knows how to get you where you want to go. It's best. He will get you where you want to go.
Now I want to ask you this: you guys are sophomore playing basketball. Are you guys eyeballing, NIL potentials? You know, I mean, is that something that's on your mind as you play basketball and train?
Yes, sir. It stays on my mind.
Because it's a pretty important development that you guys get paid in college level now.
Yes, sir.
Where are you guys hoping to go?
I'm hoping to get a couple looks from UNC, University of North Carolina. I say Alabama, Georgia. I just received my first Division I offer from Rider University yesterday. Yeah.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. So, has training for basketball practice? You guys are aware, like, hey, we got to kick it up a notch because to make some.
Yes,
good
sir.
money
Some days we come in here. Some days you get that laziness where you don't want to play basketball. You don't want to come in here and train. But I would say former he comes in here and gives it his all. So we have nothing less to do but give it our all. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Cool. Well, Caden Williams, thank you very much. And Cam over there, good luck to you guys on your basketball ventures, and hopefully we'll be seeing you guys on the sometime in March Madness sometime soon,
yes,
in a couple of years. Right on. But that was Legacy Sports Complex. It is the high end where you can get your soccer training, cross training, your football training, your just all sorts of different trainings here. And you're welcome to come down here and check it out. And you can check it out online at MiltonLegacySportsComplex.com. You can check it out there, and they're having their grand opening tomorrow, and tomorrow from 5. This is just a little open house right now for the Legacy Sports, and what makes it cool are former pro and current athletes who knows what it takes to make it to the next level. Tom?
Yeah, these athletes are so impressive. Your shot is taking a few hits, dipping in and out of black, which we apologize for, but we're getting the gist of what's happening up there. I presume that can anyone go up to use this facility, or do you have to qualify as an athlete to get in?
Yeah. No, you're welcome to come up here. If you're a weekend warrior, things that you on and check it out, even if you're not part of a team or a pro athlete.
All right, Eli Jordan, great stuff. Apologize for the technical hiccups in your shot up there, but it looks like a really, really cool facility and a place that could potentially tee up these guys for future success. Eli Jordan. Eli, thanks. Moving on now, 7 months after a shooting at the CDC, the bullet-damaged glass at the Atlanta campus has yet to be replaced. It's still what's left there. During the August attack, a gunman fired more than 180 rounds into that building, shattering about 150 windows. DeKalb County police officer lost his life trying to confront that gunman. Officials say temporary coverings have been in place, but permanent repairs finally got underway this month, we understand. So hopefully the situation there will be fixed sooner than later. The U.S. Postal Service announcing a temporary 8% surcharge on several delivery services as gas prices surge. This happening not too long after they announced the possibility that postage stamps might run upwards of $1 a piece. The price hike impacts Priority Mail and Ground Advantage starting on April the 26th. Officials say the move is necessary to offset rising fuel costs as the war with Iran enters its 4th week. The surcharge expected to remain in place until January. When we come back, the deposed dictator Nicolas Maduro will make an appearance along with his wife in a Manhattan courtroom today. Our live reporter is standing by for an update when we come back. Welcome back to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. So happy you're with us this afternoon as we shift gears and talk about the ex-Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife making a return to a Manhattan courtroom today. Caroline Elliott joins us now live from Manhattan. Caroline, the two facing federal charges. If convicted, they could face decades in prison. What happened in court today?
Yeah, Tom, well, this is shaping up to be one of the biggest, most high-profile cases in the country right now. It's getting a lot of attention and also a lot of back and forth between the U.S. government and Nicolas Maduro's legal team. Before court today, we know his attorney was trying to get this entire case tossed out because he said this case is unconstitutional because there's been a lot of drama on who's going to pay Maduro's legal fees. We know before today, the U.S. has been essentially blocking the Venezuelan government from paying that bill, citing national security concerns as that reason. That did get brought up in court today, and the judge did not make a decision, but he seemed pretty skeptical on that concern. He was essentially saying he didn't really see how that would amount to a national security concern and seemed pretty receptive to what Maduro's legal team was arguing in that case. So again, no decision today. We do expect a decision to come in the next few days. We will note, though, that Maduro did not speak publicly today. He was quietly sitting next to his attorney, but we do know before today, he essentially said that he was innocent. He described himself as a decent man, and he said as far as he's concerned, he's still the president of Venezuela. Tom.
Caroline, the United States has to build a case against him. Other drug kingpins, so to speak, I'm thinking of the Panamanian dictator Manuel Noriega, really never saw the light of day again after they were sentenced to federal prison. So does the U.S. have an equally strong case against the Maduros?
We will see, Tom. We do know today U.S. prosecutors said they had a lot of evidence to work with. We know that Maduro is also facing narco-terrorism charges, as well as a charge to a conspiracy, rather, to import cocaine and various weapons charges. So these are really serious charges against him. We know all of this goes back to that January raid we saw earlier this year. But as you mentioned, this has been a case that has been building for a long time now. We know this indictment goes all the way back to 2020, so U.S. prosecutors have been working on this for some time. Tom.
And what about the reaction, Caroline, of people both inside and outside the courtroom? New York is a place where people aren't shy to express their feelings one way or another about any given subject. Have you seen a lot of activity either inside or outside the courthouse?
Yeah, we saw a lot of protesters outside the courthouse today, a lot of them demanding that the U.S. release Maduro from U.S. custody. Again, we know it's been about 83 days since he was transported from Venezuela to the U.S., and people out here today were describing him as a prisoner of war and said that the U.S. should not involve themselves in this matter. So again, we've seen a lot of different opinions out here. That was what we saw at the courthouse today, but we've also seen those scenes around the U.S. in the last few months of some Venezuelans celebrating this. So again, a lot of different opinions. We'll see how this goes, though, Tom.
All right, and it'll be interesting, as you said, to see how the legal process unfolds when you're dealing with somebody who is extradited from another country and what kind of privileges they enjoy under the U.S. Constitution, right to an attorney, how to pay for that attorney, etc. Caroline Elliott live for us in New York this afternoon with the latest on the Nicolas Maduro trial. Caroline, thanks. When we come back, it has been sort of a wild week, at least temperature-wise outside, and the weekend is going to be no exception. Meteorologist Jonathan Stacy standing by to let us know what we could expect for our Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Bulldogs, you know. Welcome back, everybody, to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Vox Local. Tom Haynes, joined by meteorologist Jonathan Stacy to talk about our weather. Jonathan, knocking on the door of the weekend. Temperatures have been up. They've been down. They're up again today.
They are.
But it looks like they're headed down again for the weekend.
So it's been like 2 days up, 2 days down, 2 days up, 2 days down. And so we're in the 2 days of up, in the 2 of 2 days.
Okay.
We'll have one more really nice day tomorrow, and then we're going to drop back down. But here's the deal with the drops. The drops were still above average. That's the funny thing. Yesterday and the day before, we were still above average. Like, it wasn't a cold snap. It was just a cool down in contrast to the above average string of days that we've had that have been more of a commonality than not. I do want to shift gears, moving from the mercury to the ground that is parched. We got some new information in based on that drought monitor report that dropped today. So 80% of Georgia is now in a serious drought. Some 8% of the state is in the exceptional drought category. That's the highest out of 5. The worst drought experienced across the Peach State in 9 years. 2017 February is when you have to go back to the worst drought. Or drought to this degree. So it is South Georgia, really the heart of Georgia's agricultural landscape as you get down to the Georgia-Florida line that's experiencing this exceptional drought. No pockets of exceptional drought across North Georgia. However, we are cutting it close with extreme drought. That's a level 4 out of 5, stretching across the mountains of Northeast Georgia, out into the lake country there along the South Carolina-Georgia state line from Lake Hartwell. Even Lake Lanier included in this. And we understand that generally our lakes at this point, especially Lake Lanier, is operated by the Army Corps of Engineers. And so we're not experiencing, significant drops, especially as we get into a more recreational period during the summer. We'll have to start being concerned with that. They're regulating the lake levels, but the deal is with this, we need some rainfall, and we're going to need multiple waves of rain over the next really 3 to 4 weeks to really help us turn the tide here with this drought situation not getting better even after the waves of rain that we had, the multiple waves that we had during the first part of the month. So how much do we stand to get over the next 7 days? Well, look at this. Fairly meager amounts, but they're all to the north and to the west. So it's really not our eastern zones that will get a spritz or a sprinkle, a drizzle, or a drop as we get into the first part of April. So when you look at our rainfall deficit, you can see the greatest deficit in terms of a 30-day period is really across the mountains of Northeast Georgia. So Tom, what happens? These systems come barging in, and they generally come in from the west, the north and the west. But if they roll in from Alabama, if you're out in Polk County, Floyd, going down to Carroll, Troop counties, you stand to get a sizable amount of rain, and most of the time the metro area can participate in that. But those systems just have a way of fizzling out, both in terms of intensity and also in terms of the moisture that they can impart as they move farther to the east. And that's a prime example here. We're running below some 2 inches there in Rabun County, go down to Lumpkin County, 1 inch and 3 there, go up to Towns Union County, around a 1/2 inch, almost 2 inches of rainfall needed. Temperatures across the nation at this hour, I imagine there are going to be some drought issues, especially if spring turns to summer with 90+ degree heat like this continues out across the desert Southwest into the panhandle of Texas and across the Great Plains. Today's high temperatures, they ran up to 80 degrees here in town. I think we still have a couple more hours to get there, but out west, once again, they're making a run for the triple digits. We'll be looking up to the Midwest overnight, specifically the Ohio River Valley from Illinois into Indiana, going out to Ohio, for the potential for some pretty strong storms. Those storms are going to rear up from Chicago all the way to Cleveland into the Northeast, even out to Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, New York, the I-95 corridor. They won't see the worst of it. The worst of it will come right through the Ohio River Valley. And as it drifts south, this system really just kind of runs out of steam. It doesn't spit out too much in the way of rain for us. So our state line counties have the best shot at getting something, and that is late Friday night going into the day on Saturday. Here's a look at your forecast for the remainder of the day. We'll fall from that 80 down into the 70s, eventually into the 60s. And here is a look at your low temperatures for tonight. We'll put you to bed at 61 degrees. When we rise tomorrow morning, there will be plenty of sunshine for us to work with, and temperatures will ultimately reach a high of 86 degrees here in town. And why are we focusing on 86? Well, it's going to be warm if you're going out to the Braves home opener, but also, or season opener for that matter, but also 86 is our current record for the day that is tomorrow. And so if we were to surpass that, we would break a record for opening day.
And what is bringing in the cold temperatures over the weekend? Is that a front that's
so that same front that you saw move through that really doesn't spit out much in the way of rain for us?
Ah, right. That's going to be Friday night into Saturday.
Exactly. And so it reworks the atmosphere. So it doesn't deliver rain, but what it will do is cause those winds on Saturday to rear up.
Gotcha.
And they will be quite ferocious, and they will have a bit of a bite to them as they'll be coming in out of the north. They will deliver some cooler air. So your Saturday morning will be on the chilly side. I think it'll be bearable, but I think Sunday morning may have a bit more of a bite to it after all. Look at that, 45 degrees. That's our only morning in the 40s.
Wow.
And you know, outside the perimeter, that's easily close to the 30s. So stepping out for anything that you have going on Sunday morning, if you're a church-going person or perhaps got some activities going on. But I will tell you this, considering everything that is happening with travel around the world, from gas prices to fuel prices, jet fuel prices, to TSA lines, this is not a bad staycation type of forecast.
Okay.
So, you know, if you're kind of bummed, or the kids may be bummed about, well, we're not going anywhere this year.
Because spring break is,
spring break,
coming up
next
week. Or the week after?
Next week. But, you know, there will be some districts out there who have spring break going into Easter weekend. But there will be others that come out of Easter weekend and have their spring break after that, which is the first full week of April. But as it stands right now, if you do have to basically have a staycation here, it's not too bad of a forecast.
The weather's pretty nice outside.
Yeah, exactly. You can have a good time here in the state of Georgia.
Of course, if you're susceptible to pollen, forget about it.
Yeah, you can.
Forget about it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like pollen everywhere.
And tomorrow's warm up and today's warm up is going to set us up for okie doke for the weekend. So the numbers dropped a little bit, but they're going to come back with a vengeance.
I'm not washing the car anytime soon.
I'm not either. I'm tired of wasting my money.
Jonathan, thanks. Slutty Vegan founder Pinky Cole is in a legal battle, we understand, after a creditor seized her Loganville home. Cole's attorneys filed an emergency motion in bankruptcy court, claiming that the move violated federal protections. The seizure comes amid her Chapter 11 proceedings as she attempts to manage over $1 million in debt. An emergency hearing on the matter is set up for today. The U.S. Mint is giving American coins a makeover to celebrate the nation's 250th anniversary. New dimes, quarters, and half dollars featuring dual dates and historic designs are hitting circulation throughout the year. From Lady Liberty to the Gettysburg Address, the Mint says these coins offer a tangible link to America's story. Well, local women are gathering in the Old Fourth Ward this afternoon to grow their businesses. It's all part of Brain Trust, which is a group helping female-led companies scale up. Chris Rosenthal is out there to tell us more about this innovative day out there in the Old Fourth Ward. Chris?
Yeah, hey Tom, this event just wrapped up, happening this afternoon, but there are a couple more events scheduled. Another one in Buckhead this evening and another one tomorrow in Alpharetta. Again, this is Brain Trust, which is founded in 2019 by Sherry Deutschman. She has a bit of a rags to riches success story, starting from the bottom and working her way up to only a $40 million business, and just a really wonderful woman's success story there. And she's here to empower this Women's History Month, to share some of that, and share some of her organization that she has founded. About 40 women entrepreneurs, local entrepreneurs, met here today to talk and convene and learn about what they can do going forward. Having monthly meetings to discuss and work through their businesses and their issues. And I spoke with Sherry a little bit earlier about brain trust, and also spoke with some business owners. Let's take a listen.
Our goal is to see more women finding financial independence, wealth even, and the influence that comes from that.
And why is that so important here, especially with Women's Month this month?
Well, it's really born out of my own story of being a single mom. I was a toilet scrubber. I had a route where I cleaned gas station bathrooms. I have only a high school education, but I was able to start a company in my basement, a company that I grew to $40 million a year, debt-free, and sold that company, but along the way got a ton of influence, being able to address Congress on the business case for raising the minimum wage, being featured in the New York Times, and then being honored by President Obama as a White House champion of change. And all of that really happened because I had a successful business that gave me a platform. And I want more women to experience that and more women to have power in this world.
Tell me about today, and tell me about what do you guys have going on here?
Well, today we have a lowdown. A lowdown is when we give women the down low or the lowdown on what brain trust is, how it operates, and how we help women grow and scale. We've been in Nashville for a couple of years, and we have a couple of hundred members there. We're live in Charlotte, but so many women in Atlanta reached out to us and said, please bring this program to Atlanta. So here we are. So women will walk away knowing they're not lonely anymore, that there'll be hundreds of other women who are growing businesses. And
why is this so important?
Because I believe that the economic effect of women having an equal opportunity to build wealth and influence through their businesses, I think if we had the same opportunities as men did, it would be not a trickle effect. It would be a tsunami to an economic impact to this city and to every city where we reside.
Community is really important. We're newer to the area, so we've been here just over a year, and so it's especially important to connect with particularly other women that, not just for the sake of meeting, which is important, but also gaining wisdom, being able to grow together, and hopefully get through what might be a challenging time now to also celebration. So, yeah, it's really a great space to be.
Yeah, it was Andrea Levant. She's a business owner. She has a disability consulting business that she has, and she says she's been struggling a little bit with that, just with rollback of DEI and things like that have been making it hard for her. So she's hoping that the community aspect of this really would help her out and help out these other women businesses here. The goal here is to get these businesses to scale up and scale up to a point of making $1 million worth of revenue, which is pretty significant considering a statistic showing only about 2% of women businesses in the country are at that level. So that's a big goal for them here with this event and with this organization, Brain Trust, that Sherry Deutschman has founded.
What was the turnout like there today, Chris?
It was a pretty good turnout. They had about 40 women here, 40 women with their businesses, so a pretty good sized turnout.
All right, Chris Rosenthal reporting live for us at this innovative forum today supporting local businesswomen. Chris, thanks. I want to take you to live pictures right now of some breaking news that we are on top of, and that is a huge structure fire in Loganville, we understand. Take a look at these images from Skyfox 5. The hose is still trained on that fire, but it looks like the structure is a complete loss here. Loganville firefighters on the scene of the fire. It's on Logan Drive, Pecan Street, and Cross Street. Those avenues currently closed in that area as firefighters work to gain the upper hand on this fire, again burning in Loganville. You're asked to sort of avoid this area if you happen to be streaming with us on your mobile device or listening to us on the radio on 107.9 HD2 FM. While the situation remains dangerous, as it looks like at least half of that structure has collapsed. You can see some vehicles in the parking lot there. What caused this fire? We just don't know yet. But fire investigators are sure to move in on this scene once the flames are finally out and firefighters have completed their job. Again, this is a big structure fire happening in Loganville. The areas of Logan Drive, Pecan Street, and Cross Street currently closed due to this fire. Doesn't look like there's too much activity. There is an adjoining structure there which no doubt sustained damage but did not go up in flames the same way the neighboring structure did, and it looks like there is some sort of either retail or warehouse space adjacent to this building. But firefighters look like they have gotten this thing under control. The white smoke is rising from the structure, which means the flames are probably out, and I don't see a lot happening there in terms of fire that is still active. But out of an abundance of caution, the Loganville Fire Department is working to make sure that it is completely snuffed out, and then again fire investigators will move in to do their work. But you're asked to avoid this area in Loganville as this fire remains an active scene. We'll continue to follow the situation for you and of course have the very latest on Fox 5 News coming up here at 4. Thanks so much for joining us for the 3 p.m. streaming hour. I'm Tom Haynes with you live in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. Don't go anywhere. The news continues right here, right now.